might try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badger name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm, calling out corruption. We'll stand tall for justice and truth. We'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hey, hi everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Lies. I'm Catherine Felton Page, your host and creator and director of our movement, Social Change Warriors. We are an advocacy group advocating for victims of major crimes of homicide, domestic violence homicide, and we also advocate for survivors of domestic violence, attempted M-word. And we are calling out corruption and looking for the corruption in government and police. And we want justice, right? We want justice for people whose lives were taken without their permission. And nobody's going to give permission forever for anybody to unalive them, except in very rare circumstances. So that's what we're doing. We're advocating for people that have been unalived by someone else and their families want justice and they're not getting it. So we are here to support them, advocate for them, help read police reports, listen to audio if we've got it, and go over any type of testimony we can if there's any pre-trials or trials, and support the families. And that's what we do here at Social Change Warriors. And we're so happy to have you on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Wednesdays we're more focused on domestic violence homicide and survivors of domestic violence homicide, how we can help them, how we can help the victims and their families, and also looking at unsolved cases. On Thursdays, we're calling out corruption. Some of the cases cross over. So we've talked about the Karen Reed case on Thursdays, Ellen Greenberg, Sandra Birchmore. Some of our cases will cross over on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So that's just kind of how it goes. Some weeks you'll see something familiar on a Wednesday, and the next week it may show up on a Thursday. So that's how we roll. And Friday nights is our night now dedicated to the Karen Reed trial. And we may do some other trial updates as those trials start down the road. But primarily right now, we are reviewing the testimony from Karen Reed trial number 1. And we are asking all of us in the live and all of us on the replay, did they lie? Did they tell the truth? Or were they evasive? Or was it a combination of all three? So thanks again for being here. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do that. That really helps our algorithm. It helps push us out there. And then that helps us to advocate for the 13 souls that we are advocating for right now with their families and doing the volunteer work that we do. So we really appreciate that. And if you could ask friends and family to subscribe, obviously you're not pressured to come every week, or you can come once a month, you can come anytime. But the subscribing helps get our numbers up, and that helps us a lot with the YouTube and pushes out our advocacy for everyone. So as you know, we're not monetized. We do not charge super chats. I don't have anything against those that do, but we do not, because I want you all to feel free. This is your platform as well to rant and rave and bitch and tell us your complaints and tell us your opinions. I put up as many as I can onto the screen, or I'll read them. I either read them out or I'll put them on the screen. I'll go over them after. If I missed any of yours, I'll talk about it the next week, or I'll put it on the replay chat. So don't forget to chat on the replay chat. That actually helps our algorithm as well, I found out this week. So if you can add some chats on the replay chat, that would be great. But we want you to chat. We want you to feel important. And that's why we use the chat box, that what YouTube calls it. For me, it's a way to converse with you, to have conversation, for us to be a advocate team, a social change warriors and social justice advocate team. So thank you to all of you that come live and participate in the chat box. I really do greatly appreciate it. So we do have a Cash App now. I did get some messages this week that people don't have the Cash App and they're frustrated and they wanted to make a donation. So I'm not sure how to go about that yet. I really, even if we hit the 1,000, I think is what we need. I really don't want to do super chats, because then YouTube gets part of it. And I don't want you to feel like you have to donate to speak. I don't want that. So we'll have to figure something out. I guess maybe, I don't know, Venmo, if that's more popular for people, PayPal. I mean, you guys let me know. I do appreciate that people have asked me about giving donations for program costs. So that's really meaningful to me. So thank you so much. So we'll figure it out. If I have to add a PayPal or add a Venmo, I'll do that, because right now I just have the business Cash App. So thanks, everyone. And we have Julie back tonight, our co-host. She was with us last night, and we started out our Friday Night Lives early last night on Thursday night. So thanks to all of you that joined us. And Julie's back again tonight, and she's going to be showing some more of her amazing experiments. And I'm so grateful for her for the time that she has put into these. Is really quite amazing. So let's bring Julie up here to the platform with us, and let me get her up. There she is. Hey, Jules.
Hey everybody, let's get some fuckery going.
Yeah, let's roll with the disclaimer. I really love how popular. I'm really happy for those guys, those decorated dudes. They're funny, they're passionate. The musical talent of JFK is amazing. James Jackson's talents on computer, and they're just really quite an interesting duo. And I really, when I have time and I can listen to them live, I do, but most of the time I catch them in replay, because I'm working on these 2 cases here in Florida. So I just wanted to remind you guys, please be careful of compassion fatigue and burnout. I've had a rough week this week with my friend Jeannie being in the hospital, and my other friend from high school who was dear soul, and she was part of our class reunion committee for years, and we lost her to cancer this week. And like I said, Jeannie's still in the hospital. She's in rehab now, but she's still in there. And then the cases here in Florida, where is Sarah Ebersol and Jason Veach, are like really heating up, and my part in it has really heated up. So I'm probably doing more volunteer work than my own injury to my neck and my central nervous system can really deal with. So Julie knows I've had a rough week. I've had really bad panic attacks, and they just come out of nowhere. It sucks. And I know all of you that can have empathy for that, whether it's yourself or a family member. I do have a PTSD on board from when I was a police officer. And honest to God, this is so transparent. It wasn't from the night I got injured, from the night of the arrest. That really wasn't it. It was afterwards. It was all the PT, and then the failure of the PT, and then the surgery, and then getting back on duty. And I was literally harassed by people I thought respected me and that I worked with, because I dared to come back with a neck injury. Even though I passed every test to come back, they still harassed me, and it was constant, ongoing. I mean, that's a whole nother live for another day. But that's how my PTSD evolved. And then the chronic fatigue disorder comes when you have chronic pain for days and days and months and months. And so by 5 years into this neck injury, when I finally had to step down from policing and took a desk job, I had pretty bad chronic fatigue disorder. And then fibromyalgia just piggybacked right on the top of it, which is very common with spine injuries. And it's been an ongoing battle for me now for 15 years of battling daily chronic pain. It is not fun. And I don't love to share it because most of us that have it, we don't want to share it because it's an invisible injury. And unless you see me go downhill when I'm really getting fatigued and really getting an anxiety attack, you can't tell that I have it, right? You can tell I had knee surgery. I have a big ugly scar on my knee. You can tell if you've had something removed from your body or if your arm is broken or in a sling or, but when you have an invisible injury like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, panic attacks, anxiety, Lyme disease, MS, any of the other diseases that really cause you internal body problems with your nervous system, your nerves, your the sheaths on your nerves. It's very lonely at times because none of us want to be that person. I don't want to complain. I don't always want to have to cancel on people, but there are days when I thought I was going to get to do 3 hours of something and my body said, hell to the no, you're not doing 1 hour of something. And then there's days where I say, screw you, body. My brain and heart say, I'm going. And so then I go and then I crash and then I'm crashed for like 3 days. And that having a crash is like having the flu. It sucks. It's terrible. Every part of your body is in chaos. So that's what happened to me 2 days ago. And it's kind of been hanging on yesterday and today. So my neighbor went and got me Pedialyte because she said that helps the central nervous system. So there is no pizza and wine tonight or pizza and Diet Coke, which is all bad things when you're having chronic fatigue flare-ups. You have to eat really healthy, as most of you do know. So I got the Pedialyte, I got my Julie, I got my MCAT and my Shauna, and Kathy Coppins will probably be here if she's on the replay. And all of you that show up here, I'll say hi to you as you pop in. Kimberly Williams, I thank you all because you guys support me. You help me get through these Friday nights, which comes at the end of right now a very long week for me as a volunteer because the Sarah Ebersol case and the Jason Veach case are literally sucking the life out of me because it is so atrocious what's happening. These two beautiful families are going through hell and they're not getting any justice. And I am taking it on and I'm an empathetic person, and Julie knows, and Shauna and Kathy and everybody, MCAT. I am such an empathetic person that I like soak it up like a paper towel. So I just soak up Kara's grief. I soak up Michelle's grief. I worry about Cora and that she's with this madman who's her biological father, who's a criminal and violent. And I just try to go to sleep at night and I can't. So I've come up with this structure now where on the weekends, I have to do me. I have to do sports. Right now it's baseball, which isn't my favorite. I'm already getting ready for football season, guys. But I have to do me. I have to find a way. But then I feel guilty because I feel for these people and these families. And the Karen Reed case gets on my mind constantly because then I go on Twitter and then I get sucked back in. So I have to learn to walk away from my phone. I may have to just take the Twitter app off my phone and only go on Twitter on my laptop. It'll be painful for me to do because I love to get on there and zip zap back and forth with the anti-Karen Reed people, and even sometimes me and the free Karen Reed
sometimes people. The actual free Karen Reed people, they're just as bad, if not worse sometimes.
I get in it a little too. Hi, Kath. Hello, dear. We're just chatting a little bit about compassion fatigue and my nasty central nervous system and how I had a really bad week with it. So I'm chugging the Pedialyte. I've had really bad episodes the last 2 days, but we're going to get through it tonight. Like I said, I got Julie, my cohort, my co-host, and all of you amazing, great friends and people in the chat. So thank you, everybody. You are not just the chat to me, by the way. And I see that a lot when I go on other people's live shows. You are amazing human beings. You are willing to advocate for people you don't even know in most cases. You're willing to show love to total strangers who have lost a loved one, and you're willing to take that on. And that's a lot. That's why I want to say I can get compassion fatigue, and I am a social worker. This is what I want to do every day, every week. I want to do this. But when you do it as your hobby, you have to be very careful because most of you have full-time jobs, you're raising children, or you've got grandchildren. You have to be very careful that you do not develop this disorder because compassion fatigue is a disorder if it becomes full-blown. And you can get sick. It's like the flu. And it'll make you feel right. It'll make you feel depressed, anxious. You'll have anxiety attacks. You'll feel guilty when you're not paying attention to the case. You can't let go of the case. I mean, you need to look at all these signs because it's very real. And at the end of the day, you can't help people if you're not taking care of yourself. You absolutely have to do it. So please watch out for yourself, take care of yourself, and we'll continue to push through on Friday Night Lies and get us through. I'm very concerned about how nasty this is about to get. Now, we're about to go into trial 2, and I think the emotions and the feelings, think about it, they've had a whole year to boil, and there's been all these motions and all this commotion, and a lot of hate going on between anti and free Karen Read. There was a lot of hate in the free Karen Read and in the anti Karen Read. They all had their own feuds going on within their own movements of advocacy, and I'm worried that it's just going to get really crazy out there, and people are going to be keyboard warriors and going crazy on the Twitter and the Instagram and the X and the TikTok. And so just be careful, take care of yourself. You can care, you can advocate, but you must advocate for yourself and take care of yourself as well. So thanks for coming tonight. So
I don't know.
Go ahead, Jules. No, you go.
I don't know if this needs to be said, not to anybody who watches this show, but I know that this has happened in the past. Things are going to get ratcheted up. We saw today on Twitter that shit's already, hitting the fan and going crazy, and stuff hasn't even happened. I mean, I guess sometime next week the trial is going to start. Who knows? I mean, my biggest fear is that, again, Bev was going to stop this for 6 months and give Breenan a whole bunch of time. But people just, step away, take a break. It takes a lot out of you. I mean, I'm also disabled, and it does take a lot out of, like, even when I was doing these experiments, the second crime scene that I did took a lot out of me for about 2 weeks. I was just flat on my ass out. And my favorite thing is, but you don't look disabled. You look fine. What's wrong with you? You're fine. It's like, all right. But no one here. But again, it has happened. Please, everybody, just take a break from the computer. If you can't, just keep it on the computer. Twitter isn't real life, okay? When it crosses from Twitter into real life and people are going to people's homes and making threats and, doxing this one and doxing that one, and who's putting out pictures of their families and pictures of their homes, enough. Someone's going to get hurt. Please don't do it. Like, this is why we have here where we go through the case. We do experiments. Like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about science. Let's talk about facts. Let's talk about, things that can help, that we can calm down. Again, I would put money on the fact that I think Brennan is bluffing with the stuff that he has, because 6 ways to Sunday, we don't, none of this is going to go. But everyone just take a breath. If you feel it getting ratcheted up, take a walk. It's beautiful outside. Go touch grass. Go walk children in nature. Go, just take a breath, because
pet a puppy.
Well, exactly. Hug the puppies. Go, call old people. They're good for 9 stories in a row. But just take a break, because this looks like this is going to get to a violent point. And I hope to God I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But please,
I hope you are too. I'm really scared for Michelle, Sarah's sister, because the family of the person of interest, Tyrone Mormon, and all his friends are ratcheting it up big time. And there's been threats made to her that she's going to go missing like her sister. And somebody said something to me sort of that nature, only they said legally, we won't hurt you. We'll come after you legally. I said, you can't come after me. All I ever talk about on my live stream are facts, police reports, my opinion based on the facts and the police reports, and your child, ma'am, your child's own admissions and your child's own lies. So you can't sue me for that. I'm a content creator. I am a social worker. You cannot sue me for that. But they can. Anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Anybody can sue anyway. Just
they won't win.
To break walls and just to and just to say, you know what, here. I forget who it was who said it, but they said that the punishment, I think they were talking about something on the news. They said the punishment is not the actual punishment, like jail or like a fine. The punishment is the motion, having to go through the courts and having to go to court every 6 weeks and having to file all this, paperwork and then reapply and then, and then go to this court and then go to Superior Court and then go to District Court and then, that's the punishment.
Yes, exactly.
It's just, it's
so we
want miserable. Like, misery loves company, and apparently all those people are on Twitter. So just there's a lot of just to check, but don't engage.
There's good things about
talk to Nagelblob. Nagelblob and I will have a little call-in show.
Nagelblob's taking a nap. Twitter has its good things too. you got to take the good with the bad when you do social media. That's the way it is. So last night we welcomed Amanda, who has been joining in for several shows now from South Africa. So we have now picked up a new country. We have the south of England. We have Australia, 2 different sections of Australia, South Africa.
Indonesia too.
We had Indonesia a couple weeks ago, yes, and we've had Canada. But yeah, it's been really great having so many people all over the world join us on Friday Night Lives. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate that you care enough about crime and corruption and in America that matters to you. That's just really, really awesome, and thank you so much. So we are going to jump right in. We love us some Emily D. Baker. We haven't used her for a couple weeks because I'm trying to just do fair use. That's and not overtax Emily. But I did email her. I have no clue if she read it or if one of her people read it, because she has people. But I did tell her we love her and that we're using a little bit of her content because we just love to hear her reactions. It's just great to hear lawyer reactions to some of this nonsense and these lies. And it makes us feel more validated that we are not stupid people. We may not be lawyers. We may not all be nurses or doctors or ex-cops like me or social workers, whatever we do for a living. We're smart and we can tell the difference between a lie and the truth, because most of the time it's super obvious, because people that lie have tells. And if you watch them long enough, you don't have to be a trained police officer or trained court, lawyer to pick up on tells and pick up on lies. So these guys aren't good at it. Most of them are very bad. Now I have to say, for me so far, and we'll keep going and then you guys can tell me what you think, but for me so far, Colin Albert was ice, baby. He did not, he just was ice. He had no real expressions. He didn't get too mad. He didn't get flustered. He lied and he evaded, and he did tell some truth. So he was a mixed bag, lies, evasive, a mixed bag. Now we're going to see what Emily feels about Matt and how she, and I may fast forward through some of it. It's a lot of testimony. So I may fast forward through some of it if it's something we don't necessarily need tonight. But Yannetti goes over a lot of stuff. So we'll probably end up, listening.
Yeah, David did a good job.
Yeah. But if you're ever saying to me, hey, let's go forward a little bit, let's fast forward, happy to do it. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll take a break about an hour in, and we'll have Julie, we'll all get up and stretch, and we'll have Julie share some more of her experiments while we're doing our investigation. Yes, your crime scene investigation while we're doing our 7th inning stretch. So thanks to everybody who's live with us tonight. Thanks to all of you on the replay. We really appreciate you. Okay, so first of all, let me show you one thing really quick. Let me go back to this. I just wanted to show you very fast. This was a meme that I created on Canva. I love Canva. So I hope you'll share that out if you see it on any of my social medias. If you can share that out, that'd be great. Because we are constantly reminding everybody that this is not just about freeing Karen Read. This is justice for a man who lost his life. And it was a terrible accident, we believe. I don't feel it was premeditated in any way, shape, or form, but it was still an accident that was not his fault. And so his only fault was going there to confront them, because that was obvious in the microdot videos that's what was going on. They were saying, hey, come on, man, come out. Let's go outside and have this out. Let's go. Are you coming? Are you coming? So peeking out the window and waiting for him to arrive. And he knew what was going on. He knew he was about to probably get into some kind of heated argument for sure. Mm-hmm. And he might have known that there was going to be a fight. And I don't know, but we'll never know, will we, for sure? But unless somebody absolutely steps up and tells the truth. So please share out this meme that we created for Social Change Warriors, just us. My life mattered. John O'Keefe's life most certainly mattered. And so also, if you ever get the chance, share out my contact card. And we already went over the sociology and the psychology of what this means to get involved physically and emotionally with this type of crime and advocacy. So you got to be really careful and watch yourself. That I'll show you at the end. And I also want to remind everybody that Lucky's being attacked now. Now, he has been kept out of this whole time. And now Jennifer, from the ex-FBI agent who's been very vocal on Twitter and social media against Karen Read, she's positively sure, and she's so against her that she's positively sure that she hit John in a fit of rage, she says in one of her text messages. Nobody thinks that, Jennifer. There is hardly anybody who thinks that Karen was in a fit of rage and she backed her car up 24 miles an hour and smacked John and left him in the snow to die. Nobody fucking believes that. Sorry, we can swear a little bit on this channel because we're not monetized. That's insane. Even the jury didn't believe that, and they acquitted her on that charge. So Jennifer, you're an FBI, you're ex-FBI, you're trained in this stuff. I don't understand this at all. Either you have friends that are on that side of the aisle, or you've just lost it, because, and now you're coming after Lucky. That's really egregious. This man 100% told the truth, as much as Matt McCabe 100% lied. And so I really am mad about this. I did clap back at her. I invited her to come to the show tonight, which she won't because we're not famous. But I said, come on the show. Tell us why. Give us your best reasons why you believe that you should be going after Lucky, a man who has worked his whole life. He's a Cantonite. He's lived in Canton. He's a hardworking city employee. He told the truth to the best of his abilities. And I believe him 100%. I always have, that he saw a Ford Edge parked in front of the Alberts. There's no freaking way he's making that up. He has no reason to make that up. Yes, MCAT, he's honest. And because he's colorblind, he even shared that with us, that he's colorblind. So he's sorry he can't tell us the color, but it was light in color. So whoever was driving a light in color Ford Edge was parked there for one reason, and one reason only, at 3:30 in the morning in a snow blizzard. No other reason could there be, in my opinion, was to help put John O'Keefe outside and make it look like he passed out in the snow and got hit by a plow. That's what their panic plan was. I'd call it their PP. Their panic plan was to put it, we got to get him out of the house. Let's put him outside. The snowplow will come by. It'll look like he got hit by a plow. That was their plan, until what I think happened is that Karen Reed accidentally framed herself. She accidentally gave them everything they needed to frame her for this atrocity that happened to John O'Keefe. That's the Doberman, by the way. Zach's outside in the garage, so he's having a moment of solace because his Papa Zach is not in the house. So he
also has anxiety.
He has anxiety. He has a lot of anxiety when Zach's not physically in the house. Now, if the car's gone or the motorcycle's gone and Zach's gone, he's great. He loves me. I'm his grandma. He's perfectly happy with me and Tanner. But if Zach's just outside or down the block, he can smell him and he knows he's just down the block. So then we get this Doberman anxiety. But anyway, Lucky, if you ever watch our show, we appreciate you. We honor you for having the guts to tell the truth on the stand, and know that would get you backlash from the Alberts and a lot of the other people. But I've always thought your testimony is so key. And I have hashtagged with a Lucky sign Chris Albert's Ford Edge for many, many, many months now, because that's who I believe. Or it could be Kevin Albert. I heard they both had Ford Edges. It's like the family car, supposedly. So it could have been Kevin. It could have been Chris, but it was an Albert, and it was a light colored Ford Edge. And that's what was parked out front. I'm 100% confident in that. Nobody else was coming to their aid at 3:30 in the morning. And this man totally told the truth. So back off, Jennifer. Leave Lucky alone. He's a good man. And then we have been going on and on about this for weeks now. How many sets of eyes were actually on that front yard? And we figured out last night that there were definitely 12, and that's 24 eyes. And thanks to MCAT, who put that in the chat last night, or Julie, one of you put in 24 eyes. But I think there could be 13, because if Caitlin ever showed up to pick up Colin, we know it wasn't at 12:10. So it would have had to have been after 12:30, right? So if John was hit by Karen and it was an innocent pickup of her cousin Colin, then she would have laid eyes on the front lawn, and Colin would have laid eyes on the front lawn. So then that's actually 14. So that's 28 sets. 28 eyes. So it's so many eyes. It's ridiculous. And if he really truly was there, one of these people would have seen him. There's absolutely no doubt. And a lot of people were talking about this on Twitter. Again, all this stuff is coming up, these key pieces to this case, that all these people saw the front yard and nobody saw a black blob like Julie Nagel, like our Julie's black blob, right? So anyway, I just wanted to go over that. So let me bring up, let's bring up what we need to bring up for the rest of the night, which is our present screen. And let's see what Emily D. Baker has to say. And we will take breaks about every 5 minutes for fair use, and for you guys to tell me what you think of Matt McCabe. And Julie, we want to hear what Julie thinks of Matt McCabe for sure. So I'm going to share my screen. And let me bring up Matt McCabe with Miss Emily.
The guy.
If you can just type in the chat box, because Julie and I, we hear things, but sometimes you don't hear them. Or if there is, like Wednesday, we had terrible interference from StreamYard and a lot of other content creators. We had to create a whole new thread on Wednesday. We had some more, a little bit of, last night was clean, great. So please don't wait or hesitate. Just type in the chat box. We're having an audio problem. Tell us right away, because Julie and I are in the actual studio. The audio problem happens between the studio and you guys. That's where the glitch happens. So please don't hesitate to tell me there's problems, because I want to fix them if I can as soon as possible. And if
I got it too, so I can listen.
Yeah. So MCAT, if you could type, or Kathy, anybody that's live with us right now, if you could type in the chat box, yes, audio is good. That's really great. And I'm going to start it right now.
Morning. Good morning. Hear ye, all gathered here today in the Law Nerd chat, the alternate jury of the internet, watching this case as a jury, coming into it and trying to keep with what's going.
Stand by. It didn't share yet, so stand by. I'm not sure why it did that, but I'll have to reboot it. Hang on a second.
I mean, it sounds okay.
Yeah, it sounds great, but for some reason it didn't translate up to the screen. So I took the slide. Yeah, I took the slideshow down. So let me try it one more time. Sometimes it just takes a second attempt to get it to come up to the screen, and that happens. So I'll just have to come back in and remove it from the studio. Stop screen share, because we're sharing the screen. It can get a little technical. And then we present and share screen, share the screen again. And let's try it one more time. But my
related.
Microsoft Edge tab. Let's go entire screen. No, we don't want that. Okay, let's try this. I'm doing tab only, and it should come right up to you guys. Is it up now?
It's up here. Let's see.
Yep. Can you see it?
Yep. Good.
Okay, great. Let me go back and make it a little tad bigger, and then I'll hit it and make sure. Let me know, chat, if you can hear the audio.
Going on in court is not always easy. So here on day 14 of the Commonwealth versus Karen Read, we were left on a cliffhanger at the end of the day yesterday with the witness on the stand. Matt, at some point, same. Matt McCabe saying, I woke up to screams in my bedroom. And that's where we ended. Also, just to quickly address the elephant in the room. Yes, I got a haircut and color yesterday after court. It was very needed. The my natural purple needed a bit of a zhuzh. It's just the way that it is. But we needed a haircut. We needed a zhuzh. We feel like a new girl. So we're ready to go. So law nerds, please, no spoilers. I know this is going to be incredibly difficult today because we are behind court time. I had a lovely chat, zoomed to Maryland, and then forgot exactly when I was supposed to end, and then didn't mean to keep the lovely senator that was speaking after me waiting. But I am time blind, and I always need to remind people that I am time blind. So just give me a, hey girl.
Yeah, hey girl, let's go.
We're done. It was great. They were lovely. It's always nice to talk to lawyers about the ups and downs of trials that gain regional or national attention, the ins and outs of the internet, the pluses and minuses of live streaming, and why ultimately I think it is good to have cameras in the courtroom, but that the profession as a whole needs to talk about what we are going to do about foundational rules and the potential for altered evidence and things like that. It was really, really lovely to get to have that talk, because the more lawyers that are talking about it, the better. So with all of that, we just need to get to court. I'm not going to give any more of an overview.
I'm writing that down to check up on that.
We have to zoom because we're behind, and we're going to try. But it allows us to maybe speed Lolly up a bit today. So poor Mr. Lally is going to be at least at 1.25 throughout the day. But I think that gives us the chance to get through breaks. It gives us the chance to get through all of the sidebars, and it gives us a chance to zoom through lunch. I had let the mods know that we're going to go as...
All presses happy.
Guys, we're just probably going to do a little bit of Lally. I'll see how much of Lally's left, but we may just skip right over to Yannetti. Let's see how this goes, okay?
Business before the Honorable Beverly Canoni, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court in Father County of
Not mad at all.
God near, give your attendance, you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now open. You may be seated.
22117
Give your
Commonwealth
attendance.
versus Karen Reed.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Ms. Reed.
That's
Good
funny,
morning,
Kath.
If
So
I'm
Chloe
going to ask you
did,
those
you
three
must
questions.
quit.
Were you all
We
able
are on
to follow the instructions
1.25.
and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left yesterday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively.
Which is kind
Were
of
you also
lovely.
able to follow the instruction and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case?
Yes.
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday?
No.
Everyone said no or should they?
The jurors are like, we leave, we
Didn't
just
have
want to
to
eat and go to bed. We're exhausted. Everything's exhausting. So that's
Yeah,
fair.
for sure.
I'm sure
Not
the
wrong.
jurors at the end of the day, the last thing they want to do is know anything more about this case.
That's right.
I mean, would you if you were them? You'd be
Poor
like, oh,
jurors.
I'm going to hear what, if anything, in my sleep. They've got to be so confused.
I do.
Yeah, we know now
Witness
they
Matt
were
McCabe
terribly
is retaking the stand. I'm going to go and look at exactly what witness this is. What
All right, Mr.
number?
Lally, whenever you're ready.
38. Witness 38.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Where left off yesterday, you had gone to the
Wait, why is Lally flipping? Like, do you not remember where you left off yesterday? It left off with, I heard screams in my bedroom.
Who, if
He doesn't look
anyone,
riveted.
Oh my
bed on
god.
the 28th, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Friday night.
And at some point you woke up on the later in the morning on the 29th, correct?
Yes, Saturday morning.
And do you recall, sir, what awoke you on that morning?
Yeah, he does.
Yes, I do.
What was that, sir?
Screams.
I awoke to the screaming of Jen, Jen, Jen. So when I woke up, I thought there was somebody in my bedroom. I kind of snapped up out of bed. What the hell's going on? Looking around the room,
Hell is not the word I would
realized
use
my
if I
wife was
thought
actually on the phone.
somebody was in my bedroom.
And the screaming that you heard, how loud was that, sir?
It was loud enough to wake me up from a dead sleep. I could hear it. It was loud.
He thought somebody was in his bedroom.
Obviously, I was laying in bed and realizing after my wife was laying right next to me on the phone. But it was a loud Jen, Jen, Jen. It was repetitive.
And,
is
do
that
you
why
know
he
approximately
screamed?
what time
Because
that
Jim
was?
McCabe was there? Did you just say
Yeah,
that?
shortly before 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And did you recognize the voice that you heard
Wow.
scream?
Before
I did
5
not
a.m.
recognize the voice.
And as far as that phone conversation went on for, well, let me ask you this first. As far as that phone conversation was concerned, could you hear both sides of that conversation?
Yes, I could.
And that was based on volume of the person speaking on the other end,
He's
correct?
probably on speakerphone.
Correct.
And
Not on
eventually, were you able to recognize or identify the voice on the other end of your wife's conversation?
Yes, I asked my wife, what the hell is going on? After I woke up and popped up, looking around the room to find out who's in my bedroom, assuming it was a kid, one of my kids screaming. I asked my wife, what is going on? And I could hear her saying, I'm on the phone with Karen. She can't find John.
I
And
think Jen McCabe
from
said
the course
something similar
of,
too. I just
that
awoke like
conversation
out of a
continued
spur. I
while
was
you were in your bedroom,
spurs.
is that
So much
correct?
hearsay.
Yeah, that conversation continued for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I could hear the dialogue. And then again, right back to Jen, 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 the repeating of my wife's name again.
As far as the dialogue was concerned, specifically from the defendant, Ms. Reed's perspective, what, if anything, do you recall about that?
She didn't know where John was, and the last time she saw him was at the waterfall.
And about how long did that initial phone call or that initial conversation between your wife and the defendant go on?
From when I woke up, minute and a half, 2 minutes, I don't know the exact time.
And after,
Give or take.
You recall how that conversation ended? Did your wife?
Give or take, I don't know. Okay.
Yes, they hung up the phone. I was laying in the bed.
Like, I don't know.
My wife was next to me, and I think my wife immediately called somebody else, was calling friends that lived near the waterfall that happened to be out that evening. And she started making those phone calls.
And as your wife was making those phone calls, what, if anything, did you say to her? Objection.
What, if anything, did he say to her?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to let you testify that. Next question.
It's so much
With respect
hearsay.
to the defendant's statement, the last time she saw Mr. O'Keefe was at the
It
waterfall.
bothers me that he testifies we
What, if
so
anything,
much.
What if
It's hard to know what he remembers and what his wife told him.
In reference to her saying she last saw him at the waterfall,
That's so weird.
I then told my wife, "What are you talking about?"
So I'll not what you said, sir, but I think Mr. Lally asked you what you thought. What you gathered.
I mean, some of what he said
I thought she was crazy
And why was that?
because
some of what he said might be an exception to hearsay. We're not going to get into the finer points of hearsay. The DA is not arguing it. Some of what he says might explain. This is going to get really hard to elicit the testimony because so much of this is going to be him saying things, his wife on the phone with Karen. Karen's statements can be elicited. The wife's statements and his statements have to fall within an exception. It doesn't seem the DA is doing that. I have him at 1.25. So his speech is sped up because I've sped it up because today I had a talk earlier this morning. So it's hard to, yes, he's talking fast because I have him unnaturally sped up.
saw her vehicle. I saw the black SUV arrive to the 34 Fairview that morning.
You had overheard the conversation from Mr. O'Keefe.
Did you know John was in it?
Correct?
That's correct.
What?
And so what happened then?
He thought Karen was
I told
crazy
my
because he
wife,
saw them at
"What are you
34
talking
Fairview.
about?" Who she was at.
It's not what you said to your wife.
All right, sorry.
It's hard. Ask a question, Mr. Lally, so that he can answer it properly.
Ask a good question,
So
Mr.
your
Lally.
wife made some phone calls in your presence, correct?
Yes, she did.
And
Lally could have just said, why did you think Karen Reed was crazy? Because I had seen them. Did you see John? No? Yes? Ask him what he saw, heard, did. Ask him.
following those phone conversations, what, if any, other conversations did she have with the defendant that morning?
There were multiple calls. I don't recall what calls were made, what time, but the next call, we were informing the defendant that, wait, we saw your car. We saw you
The
come
defendant?
to 34 Fairview. You guys were there.
We?
And I heard the response of, I don't remember. I don't remember going there.
And what, if any, other conversation do you recall in those subsequent phone conversations that you overheard from the defendant?
At some moment, as I said, my wife had made a couple phone calls.
Good one,
And
Kat.
one of the calls with Karen Reed, she blurted that she broke her taillight, cracked her taillight, something to that effect while we were, while Jen and I were.
Well, we are going to get into his testimony about what he heard Karen Reed say on the phone this morning, the morning of the 29th, not actually this morning. I'm going to slow him down to natural speech because I actually want to see how he's testifying, because he's going to be testifying about what Karen told Jen as opposed to just having Jen testify about what Karen told Jen. But he is saying, Karen said she didn't remember going to 34 Fairview. Let's keep going. I've slowed him back to natural speed. I want to hear more about what the defendant said.
That you overheard from the
It's weird that he called her the defendant.
At
He knows her.
some moment, as I said, my wife had made a couple phone calls. In one of the calls with Karen Reed, she blurted that she broke her taillight, cracked her taillight, something to that effect while we were, while Jen and I were still in the bedroom and she was on
In
the
a
phone.
phone call?
And
Weird.
as your wife and you were in the bedroom and your wife was on the phone, what, if anything, were the two of you doing?
Weird. Look at his faces.
What, if anything, were you and Jen McCabe doing in the bedroom? God, that one's classic. That's almost as good as yesterday when I wrote the soundbite down. We have to clip where Judge Bev actually said objection denied. Hi, Zeus. Hi, Zeus. Zeus is coming in to say hi to everybody. Well, hello,
Oh,
Zeus.
these puppies.
There's the big old goose, the goose. Zeus the goose. That's his nickname. He decided to, the puppies sound asleep. I hope he stays that way. Shh, Zeus, quiet. Yesterday we got a great clip from Judge Bev where we literally all lost our minds for a few seconds because I didn't remember Judge Bev ever saying objection denied. Never once in all those 9 long weeks. So I'm working on getting that one clipped so we can play it on Friday Night Lives. And then what was the other one we wrote down, Julie? That one, I have it timestamped at 1:34:27.
Oh, wait, there was Judge Bev, instead of saying sustained,
Right.
said overruled, and then like caught herself, which is funny. And then there was Lally saying, "There's no evidence that shows anything." Like, I just
Oh,
don't
that's
care.
right. There is no evidence in this case that proves anything, he said.
Ridiculous.
Oh, I can't wait to clip that one. That's going to be special. Okay, great. And now we got Lally saying, what, if anything, did you do for you and Jen McCabe doing in your bedroom? Okay, Julie, you were making a comment about this. That's why I paused it.
Oh, his faces are ridiculous, and he said something about that when Karen was on the phone, she had mentioned that her taillight was cracked. I didn't think that she knew her taillight was cracked until she got to, I don't know, one of the houses, either the McCabe's or went back to One Meadows. I thought that's
Right.
what she realized, like, oh, there's my taillight.
Right. I know. I thought so too. I didn't think that's a good catch. I'm going
Yes.
to write that down. I didn't think she knew anything about it either till she went outside to leave One Meadows to go to Jen's.
This is very telling.
Right?
Yeah,
So
that's what I thought.
let's
so too.
rewind that for cracked taillight. Let's rewind that a little bit.
But also, his testimony in like the little pieces that I've seen of Jen McCain screaming, Jen, well, she's very, very, very angry on the stand. He and she basically sound identical. Like, it seems like they're testifying the exact same way. Like, oh, I woke up out of a sound sleep, and oh my God, she was screaming, and oh, I was stirred, and I had to wake myself up and come to, and I was startled, and like, okay, like they both testify the same way. It's strange.
MCAT said it too. You guys are like the twinsies. She said, liar, her taillight. Come here, Goosey. She's MCAT says, liar, her taillight wasn't cracked when she was on the phone. Because she hadn't backed out yet.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's right.
Right.
I can't tell. That's right. It's like 12 minutes from the time she calls until she backs out. That's a very good catch. That's a very good catch.
We got to go back. I'm going to rewind this. A cracked taillight on the phone. Impossible. Okay, we got to go back and listen to this.
Let's
hope this isn't something that will help the CW. Okay, wait, let's go back. This is big. This is weird and big. Okay, I'm going to try. This is very tricky to go backwards, so it might be more like a minute because my shaking hands are not good at going back. There we go. I think I got it.
Phone calls. In one of the calls with Karen Reed, she blurted that she broke her taillight, cracked her taillight, something to that effect, while we were while Jen and I were still in the bedroom, and she was on the phone.
I see Karen Reed
cracking her taillight. As your wife, when you were in the bedroom, and your wife was on the phone, what if anything were the two of you?
After my wife had made a few calls, we were completely confused on where the hell John was. The thought process in our head at that moment was, we knew that John...
Is anyone going to tell this witness that he can testify to what he heard, saw, did?
Yeah.
Emily.
Is not appropriate testimony.
Right.
Nobody seems to be saying anything about it. It is beginning to make me bananas. It was beginning to make me bananas yesterday. But the royal we is not testimony, because I don't know if you remember this or if your wife told you this. Is this your testimony?
Right.
Is this what you heard, or is this what she?
What were you saying, Julie?
Oh, wait a second. What was I saying?
You were making some comments.
That it's Bev's way until payday in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in Bev's courtroom. No, Bev, she literally is the overrider. No, like what Emily was saying, like you can't testify as the royal we. It's either what you remember or what your wife is telling you, because it sounds like it's a story that she was telling you. It's like, oh, interesting.
Right.
Sounds like Jen McCabe told him to say all this.
Yeah, they're not connected at the brain, right? I mean, they're not one person. They're not connected at the brain. Stop testifying for your wife, Matt. I don't even remember catching that the first trial. So yeah, this is because I didn't watch Emily every time. Sometimes I would watch other people. So I don't remember watching her with Matt, or if I did, I don't remember her catching this. But that's a great catch. Okay, back.
I just remember him being a big.
Told you. The we is very, very difficult for me because it's hard to parse what he remembers and what he doesn't. Chat, you asked, why is it what Karen said, not hearsay? It is an admission of a party opponent. That does not mean admission like of a crime. It just means a statement of a party opponent. She is the party opponent. Karen's statements are not hearsay as elicited by the prosecution. Karen's team can't elicit Karen's statements from witnesses, but the prosecution can. The we's making me crazy.
Had mentioned that he was potentially going to be meeting up with another person. So we called that individual, my wife called that individual to see if by chance, again, confused, left at the waterfall. We saw them at the house. Did John not go with her? Did what happened? Did he get out of the car? Did he go somewhere else? So we proceeded to call a couple other people that we thought he possibly might have met up with.
I'm going to stop.
Another individual.
I have a standing objection to you saying we.
Calls, that you observed your wife making at any point in time, other than a conversation with the defendant, did you observe her to have any conversation with anybody?
You're asking if my wife did?
What I'm asking
if you saw it.
Not to any content or anything like that, but your wife made phone calls, correct?
That is correct.
And when she made those phone calls, did you observe her conversing with anybody on the phone?
No, she did not speak to anybody. Nobody answered any of our calls.
I don't think the phone records agree with you. Also, we have her recorded. Wasn't she the first person that called 911? I'm going to have to go back to my notes, but I thought she was the first person that called 911. It was like, did somebody come in drunk?
And at some point, did you yourself reach out to Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, I did.
And how did you do that?
I know I texted him, and I think I called him as well. Pretty much, where the hell are you? I think it was when Karen Reed and my wife were leaving my house. I think I responded, where the hell are you? Now Karen and Jen are out looking for you.
When was Karen at your house?
And in regard to those text messages, did you receive any response from Mr. O'Keefe?
I did not.
And
I'm sorry, Chad. I can't help myself. I'm going to stop apologizing. You know what would have been really helpful, Lally? Just like point of contention here. If we had the victim's cell phone records, assuming they exist, if we had John O'Keefe's cell phone records to give a time of when his phone went quiet before we got all of this, because it's hard to evaluate timelines against anything because there's nothing to evaluate them against. When did we do that? So if Jen made the second 911 call, thank you, chat. I appreciate that. We'll get Karen's phone records. We'll get Jen's phone records. We'll get his phone records. I don't believe that no one else answered Jen's calls because we know there's an answered call between Jen and her sister, according to phone records, according to cross-examination.
with regard to those, you had Mr. O'Keefe programmed into your phone, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And you had had prior conversations with him via text message and phone.
Aren't there phone
using
records?
That, number that you had programmed.
Added them.
Yes.
So no
Put the
response
phone
to
records
text
in
or
first and then do
calls
this.
with Mr. O'Keefe, did he answer? Did you speak with him at all?
I did not speak to Mr. O'Keefe.
Now, at some point, do you and your wife proceed downstairs?
My wife proceeded downstairs. I remained in the bedroom.
And
What?
what is the next thing that you remember occurring that morning?
While I was getting
What happened
dressed, I
next?
put my jeans on. My wife went downstairs. She was going to make a coffee. My wife and I were proceeding to leave. We were going to leave our house and make a drive to the house of the gentleman that my wife was calling that we possibly thought John could have met up with. And within that
Who was
moment,
that?
again, I don't know the exact time, I then heard yelling out in my front yard.
And when you heard the yelling in your front yard, what did you do?
I realized it was Karen Reed, and I told my wife to please tell her to shut up. She's going to wake up the whole neighborhood.
Well, apparently she didn't wake up the whole neighborhood because no one came the fuck out of a house ever. Not once.
They all sleep
No
like
one.
dogs.
But this testimony I actually.
Oh no.
This testimony really got to me. because it just shows what a complete and total moron, sorry guys, that Matt McCabe is, because who is going to say that when you know that this is like a casual friend of yours, but it's still someone you know, and you know John, and you're not going to have empathy for someone panicking because their loved one's missing in a snowstorm? I mean, come on, like this really shows his true asshole personality in my mind. Swear trigger alert for Friday night. Our new theme for Wednesdays is Wednesdays we swear. So it's just kind of going to carry over sometimes to Thursdays and Fridays, because these people make me nuts. Their lack of empathy and concern and care for this whole situation, and the fact that we totally believe that they lied. This is good because I just got a little ding on my phone. I keep them on when we're living for Twitter, just in case something really good comes up. Let me go back to it so I can show you what it is. Jennifer is apparently on a roll today, Koffendorfer. She was kind of like mellow the last few months. I mean, she would post negative things about Karen and the anti-Karen Reed side, but nothing too bad. But now she's really cranking it up. First, she goes after Lucky, and let me find it. It just does dinged me. So let me go back to it. Hang on a second.
What is she saying about Lucky?
So, okay, I can find that, but here's what she just posted
afterwards.
Today too that I didn't see earlier. She says, this case is about John O'Keefe. To all those on the fence, does it make sense that a drunk, angry, vengeful? I mean, she has always pushed the narrative that Karen was drunk, angry, and vengeful. When we saw those clips of them at the waterfall where they hugged each other and they were embracing and they were laughing. Does that nobody that testified about the demeanor in the waterfall for that hour that they were there from 11 p.m. Eastern to roughly 12 p.m. a.m. Eastern? Not one person said that they were arguing or there was any problems. Everybody testified to the total opposite. A couple people that they were lovey-dovey. So how did she get to drunk, angry, vengeful in literally like 13 to 14 minutes? And then she says soon to be ex-girlfriend. So she's assuming that they were going to break up. We'll never know that. We will never know that. You don't get to do that, Jennifer Koffendorfer. And okay, so let me read it now because I'm mad. This pisses me off, you guys. Okay, the case is about John O'Keefe. To all those on the fence, does it make sense that a drunk, angry, vengeful, soon-to-be ex-girlfriend would reverse her vehicle into John after an argument in a fit of rage and leave him in the snow near the curb where she hit him? And it still goes. Talk about a run-on sentence, Jennifer. I don't think you went to journalism school, that's for sure. Where she hit him and where he was later found with his cell phone beneath him, by the way, she says. Well, geez, Jennifer, we could pick that apart in a million times. Then she goes on. This is a long one. It's ridiculous. Or does it make more sense to you that a decorated ATF agent who is still working as an ATF agent and a Boston officer who worked 33 years on the force and was featured in multiple TV episodes about the Boston Police Department before he retired, a teen who the judge has said was not involved, and a dog brilliantly beat John to death for no particular reason and then dumped him in their front yard by the street? What criminal minds? Yes, Jennifer, because that's exactly what happened. This fight was always brewing. I think it was brewing for weeks and weeks. So there is a reason why this happened. This did not just happen for no reason, Jennifer. You're leaving that out. Julie, I'm going to mute because Lucy's barking. You can come back.
No problem. We good? Okay. Yeah, I mean, she went off, what was it, two weeks ago, I think, about, when the defense brought in, they wanted to bring in, now mine's going to start barking. They wanted to bring in, the FBI guy, and, the defense, the Commonwealth, opposed it, and then Bev said no. She went off on, I think she was at, the guy in the addict's place, saying that, well, of course, somebody in the FBI can't testify about that. They're a completely different agency than the state police or the local police, and the way the FBI does stuff is is completely different from the way local law enforcement and state police do stuff. Like, okay, let's think about what you said for a minute. And she's like, of course, it doesn't make any sense. You would have to have local police testify against local police, state police testify against that. She is basically saying nothing that the FBI does ever has anything to do with local police, and what local police does has nothing to do with what state police does, and they all do their own separate things so that people can't go from FBI to state police to local police. Yet she wants to comment about how wonderful it was and truly innovative it was to use solo cups to preserve blood and biologics that ended up deteriorating because they weren't in appropriate tubes that had preservatives in them, and a leaf blower to move around snow for a place that they designated that, yep, this is where the blood was, so let's brush it off and not pay attention to anything else, and then say, yep, we did our good job. Like that,
Right.
How does that make sense? Like, she's just bitching for the sake of bitching, it seems.
Well, I mean, I've heard rumors, and I don't know if they're true. Anyway, let me finish this. I'll finish the last of it now that I have Zeus go out in the living room. It won't be quite as loud, but it's long. So she keeps on saying that, then she said, what criminal minds? And then further, you would have to believe that 11 people in the house, 70 witnesses, and 8 agencies covered up for them. No, it's not 70 witnesses, and it's not 8 agencies. It's not as that big. It's really not.
It's
so,
like 5. It's like 5 people, and if they had actual real pressure, like if there was an actual investigation, then more people would have to cover, and you'd see people telling the truth and starting to split. But there's no pressure because there wasn't an actual investigation. It was 2 factions. It was number 1, hide whatever was going on here, and number 2, blame it on Karen. That's what happened. And there were like 5 people total who had something to do with it. And then everybody else just went along with it. And they're like, whatever, we'll play in the snow for a little bit and then leave and to go drink coffee and, shoot the shit and whatever. And, make some files.
I still think it's sort of possible that the 3 kids in the house, Brian Jr., Julie Nagel, and and Sarah Levinson, didn't really know what was going on until way after. I don't think they had a clue what happened until way after. When they were finally brought, I mean, I think it's very possible because if it was going on down in the basement and I mean, I don't know. I just think it's possible that Julie Nagel and Brian Albert Jr. I mean, maybe Julie Nagel knew somehow because of her testimony and the whole black blob thing, but maybe not till later though. It's possible those 3 did not know till later. I really think it was Jen, Nicole, Matt, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert, the 5 of them.
And
well,
I think, if Colin, afterwards it was
if Colin was involved, that's 6.
Oh well, then also what's his face, Chris Albert and Julie Albert, I believe.
Oh well, yeah. After that's all after those guys.
Like they somehow get incorporated.
Trevor
has the most juice with certain things. Like Brian Albert has juice with Boston. That's why Boston, and Peter Murphy also said this too, saying he's heard from people, and I've heard this too in the little bit that I've heard, which is like, where's Boston all this? Like that's what I wanted to know. Where is Boston all this? Because I have friends and family who are police officers, and like I know, like JFK says all the time, Sean says all the time. They would fly right down, 93, and you'd get the whole entire, they said every single person to, say like, hey, what's going on? And that's what I originally thought too. It was like, oh, she's going to get the book thrown at her because, she's a drunk. She, they're both drunks. They ran, she ran him over, hit him, whatever. And then all this other stuff came up, but radio silence from Boston.
Right. That definitely speaks volumes, but and listen, folks, when criminals do their criminaling, they do whatever it takes to, I'm joking around. They do whatever it takes to cover their crime. And if that means another person has to possibly die or you got to take more people down with you, then they will. I mean, they will do whatever they have to do to cover up their crime. And then if the desperation becomes greater, and so then, yes, those numbers can climb. So she's fucking FBI. She knows this. She knows how big these corruption circles can be. I mean, the one in Indiana that Ed Byers told us about kept growing and growing and growing. It's like a snowball going downhill, right? Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys that so we could have our little fair use break from our sweet Emily. So let's get back to it. And then in about 10 minutes, we'll take our break, our stretch break, and you can show us some of your videos because we're an hour in. So we'll go another 10 minutes. Yeah.
One quick thing. Brian Albert is actually on tape. He's actually on tape with when he did Boston Finest. He was actually looking at, I think it was The case with the med school student who killed a bunch of people, and he ended up being a serial killer, and he ended up killing himself. But he's actually on tape saying that a felon will do anything possible, or basically do like whatever it takes to avoid being caught. And how ironic. So there you go. Oh wait, you muted. Exactly. Ken, you muted.
Believe
You
quite a
muted.
lot. You thought it was so loud that you wanted her to shut the fuck up so she didn't wake up the whole neighborhood. And yet at 34 Fairview, no one could hear a thing.
Radio silence.
Chat, do you believe that he said shut the fuck up? You're going to wake up the whole neighborhood? I do.
I think Jen did.
I absolutely do. But no one at 34 Fairview heard her. And at this point, to be fair to this witness, they did not know what had happened to John O'Keefe. But doesn't it make it stranger that no one at 34 Fairview heard anything?
Where is it, or when is this in relation to that first phone call when you sort of shoot up out of it?
At least a half hour, give or take. Again, I don't know the exact time.
Now, at any point after you hear the yelling out front, you hear the defendant yelling out front. What was she yelling at that point?
I mean, most of these witnesses
she, again,
don't seem to give a fuck at this point.
Repeated, Jen. She, for some reason, kept repeating my wife's name. I don't know if she got all the way to my doorway or my wife walked out, but my wife.
Oh, Allison, there is definitely not compassion. However, he didn't say it to Karen. He said it to his wife.
A lot of anger.
But yeah, judge as you will whether or not he is telling you what he actually did.
If it said, I was actually relieved because I was like, not thinking what happened to John. I was thinking he was on somebody's couch. So I was like, good, I'm not going to look for him, thinking my wife was going to go. My wife said,
I'm backing that up. I honestly think he's being honest about this part. I think he's maybe in retrospect a little maybe embarrassed by his actions, but I also don't doubt that he said, good, I don't want to go out in the snow. I'm not dealing with this. I 100% believe that. When witnesses share unflattering things about themselves and you can see that they're like cringe,
give or take. Again, I don't know the exact time.
Yeah.
Now, at any point after you hear the yelling out front, you hear the defendant yelling out front. What was she yelling at that point?
She again repeated, Jen. She for some reason kept repeating my wife's name.
Like she was in shock.
I don't know if she got all the way to my doorway or my wife walked out, but my wife had said, I was actually relieved because I was like, not thinking what happened to John. I was thinking he was on somebody's couch. So I was like, good, I'm not going to look for him, thinking my wife was going to go. My wife said she's going to go with Karen to go find John.
And at any point in time that morning when the defendant arrived at the house, did you actually go outside or look outside? Or?
I did not go outside. I did look out the blinds of my bedroom window, which.
So I have a small problem with this. Like, I get what he's saying. I think he's telling a little bit of the truth. Come here, puppy. I think he's telling a little bit of the truth, but I also don't like that he didn't go outside, like to even just say, Karen, don't panic, or, how many husbands or boyfriends that you would be willing to marry and date wouldn't even come outside and try to, just kind of console or maybe try to make it seem like maybe it's not as bad as it is. And how many do you know that wouldn't actually go along? Right? Because his older daughters were plenty old enough to stay home with the two little ones. They have 4 girls, right? So mm-hmm. I don't buy this very much. And I saw somebody else posted about this today, actually on Twitter, and was talking about how why didn't he go with Karen and Jen and help them, and why, see them through this since it was such bad weather. And then I posted exactly what I just said to you guys. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. That doesn't make any sense. Most people would go with their wife or their girlfriend or their fiance or whoever it is. MCAT says, my husband would have gone with me. Yeah, I think so. I honestly think 9 out of 10, or maybe even 10 out of 10. Unless you got a real, shit for a husband who's a narcissist creep, and then maybe he wouldn't go with you. But I do believe most would. So I do have a little issue with this, because if they're already obviously all in on it, he knows what's going on. So he's not going to go along, right? All right, let's go back to it.
Is the close.
So you're telling me that you kept looking out the window at 34 Fairview, just as I put this together in my head. And yes, Chet, thank you for the compliments on the new haircut. I appreciate it. You're telling me that you, the night before, kept looking out the window at the SUV going, why hasn't anybody come in? And then as you're leaving, one witness, if believed, again, I don't know if you guys believe Julie or not, but if believed, Julie said that she said, isn't that something on the lawn? And her friend said, what? And you don't know that John didn't come in. You don't know why nobody came in from the SUV, but you kept looking out the window being like, isn't John supposed to come in? Or isn't he supposed to be here? And then the next morning, Karen Reed is screaming at your house that she can't find John. And you're just like, could you shut up? Also, I'm not going out in the snow. This dude's on somebody's couch.
Yep.
Okay.
Closest to the driveway.
Not
What, if
wrong.
anything, did you see when you looked out the blinds?
Saw Karen's car in my driveway.
Did you see defendant Ms. Reed anywhere outside as well?
I don't recall physically seeing her. I saw the vehicle. I don't recall seeing her directly, making any physical contact as far as seeing her.
What, if any, concerns did you have in reference to your wife going out with Ms. Reed at that particular time?
I had mentioned to my wife.
Emily, I don't think it was normal for him not to come home. I wonder if we will get to testimony of his niece and nephew, but I imagine with what his niece and nephew had been through, that him not coming home was a big deal. So, yeah, I think this was very unusual. And then I also think with the trauma the kids have been through, I would imagine that he wouldn't just be not in communication with them. I'm interested to see if we get more information about Karen screaming, but she is freaking out. I'm interested to see what he says about the car, but he said Karen mentioned a broken taillight on the phone with Jen, but we don't know what point in time that is.
Before she was leaving the house, that
No, I'll allow this. What were your concerns?
This is to explain.
my concerns were she was going to be driving with Miss Reed in their vehicle, in Miss Reed's vehicle, and my concerns were that she had a broken taillight. What I thought by a broken taillight was that her taillight was out, meaning there was no light. And I didn't think it was a bright idea to be driving around with no physical light on the taillight.
Particularly given the weather, is that fair to say?
Because of the
That's
weather,
leading
correct.
as fuck. It's a term of art. That's me being snarky. A term of art means a legal term that
Your wife
has
then leaves
particular
with Ms. Reed,
meaning,
is that correct?
legal meaning.
But Matt, if you're that freaking worried about the ladies, and then why didn't you offer to drive them, right? Why didn't you say, Karen, leave your car here. Your taillight probably isn't working properly. Let me drive you ladies. It's snowing. But then he plays like this hero thing, like, oh, I should probably not tell her not to be driving with the broken taillight, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy that for a second. I think that's utter and complete crap. And MJ says, oh my God. She says, OMG, liar. It wasn't broken at that time. Wait, sorry, Matt has no way to know that taillight was broken when she pulled out of One Meadows. Oh, right. Exactly. Well, he didn't. Yeah, it would have been broken at that point, right? Because we think that she broke it when she hit John O'Keefe's car when she was leaving One Meadows to go to the McCabe's. But he said in his testimony, and I don't remember, this is going to be interesting when we get to you, Nettie. He said, and I wrote it down, that something about the cracked taillight on the phone, and that's impossible. That's got to be a lie, because there's no way Karen would have known anything about a cracked taillight, because she wouldn't have left One Meadows yet. So So this is really sketchy. I can't wait to see what Yannetti says about this. Right, but Maddie wouldn't know that, right? So this is interesting stuff that I'm gonna let me timestamp this. They're talking about it now with Lally again at the looks like 24:34 mark. 24:34 mark. And then I'll go back and timestamp the other part too. All right, cool. Thanks everybody.
And
That is
leading
correct.
as fuck seems to be a new term of art for me.
Kind of see like who got in where as far as the car, who was driving when they left.
I did not see that. No.
However,
Now, was that within the
it
same
makes sense that he was
timeframe
like, well, if she says her taillight's out, I don't want her driving.
Hear the initial call.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't think that's
from
the case.
when, from Miss Reed arriving at my house was, yes, half hour or so after the initial call. And it wasn't long after before they proceeded to leave.
Now, at this time that you're looking out from the blinds, and you see the defendant's car and the defendant outside. Was it light out? Was it dark out? What are we talking about?
It was dark out.
Was it snowing?
And so they leave, and you're home with the 4 children, correct?
What if any?
That is correct.
And when was the next time that you spoke to your wife?
The next time I spoke to my wife was an hour later. I received a phone call from her. I don't know the exact time, but I'm going to say about an hour.
I bet the phone
so.
records know the exact time.
And-
Why don't we stop guessing at times and just use the
Without reference
fucking
to
records?
Much of the content of that. Well, all I'm really
Just
asking
thinking out loud.
is, what, if any, indication did she give you as to where
Can't
she
have
was?
that.
She indicated they found John and at Fairview.
And upon receiving that information, where did you go?
I proceeded to finish getting dressed
Was-
and drove
An hour
over
and a half
to,
later and you're still not dressed
Fairview.
yet?
And when you got to
Was Sarah
Fairview,
in
what, if
jeans?
anything, did you see when you
Did you
arrived?
hear Karen screaming in the background of that call?
When I got to Fairview, I had come down through the Chapman Street entrance. And as I proceeded down the hill towards the Albert residence, I noticed all the first responders, fire engine, et cetera, police cars. And I realized I was not going to be able to get to the Albert residence because it was all blocking the street. So I backtracked, turned around, went back up Fairview to the top, to Chapman, took a left down Spring Lane,
That's a lot
which
of
is a
detail.
parallel street to Fairview,
That's a lot of
and
detail.
came down Spring Lane to Cedar Crest onto Fairview so I could get to the Albert household.
That's a tremendous amount of detail that nobody asked for.
During your drive from your home over to Fairview and doing all that sort of turning around and coming back around the other way through Cedar Crest,
He doesn't seem
what were the
stressed.
roads like?
It was snowing, careful driving.
And the snowing that you observed that morning when you
He
drove
seems
from
not
your
stressed
house
at all.
to Fairview, what was that like in relation to the snowing that you observed when you were driving home from Fairview hours before?
Much thicker snow, much more snow on the ground, much more snow to wipe off my car. And again, I had to drive slow.
Were you stressed?
Now, when you come around to sort of the other side, as far as the first responders you mentioned.
Lolly sighing mid-question feels like breaking the fourth wall at this point.
Yeah, there might have been an ambulance there as well, but yes.
Do you recall specifically seeing an ambulance?
I do recall seeing an ambulance. I don't know if I saw it when I came down or if I saw it when I eventually parked the car, but I do recall seeing an ambulance.
I'm never going to not smile when
And
somebody says
when you
park the
parked
car,
where did you?
ever.
I proceeded on to Fairview and I parked the car
I
along the
can't
side
help
of the
it.
road because
I can't either. My resident Bostonian Julie, I love it. I do love it when he says parked. I parked the car.
Gotta
I
park the
love-
car in Harvard Yard.
Thank you, Julie. I
What?
love I've been to Boston enough times because my great aunt and uncle live there that I get to hear that Boston accent and I actually love it. But when Matt does it, it's even better. It's even like more rich. I don't know what it is about him, but he is good.
Park the car in Harvard Yard so it stays out of the harbor. Ridiculous.
Well,
Ridiculous.
but here in the Midwest, in Wisconsin and in Minnesota, Michigan, we get picked on for drawing out our vowels because
Yes.
we draw out our vowels: boat, cat. We really accentuate our word, which is why a lot of journalists go to the Midwest, journalism schools, because they want journalists that have Texas accents, East Coast accents, any other accent. Oh, hang on, I got to grab something from the puppy. How did you get that?
Puppy time.
Yeah, he's getting ready to go out. We're going to listen to Matt here for just a few more minutes, but then we're going to have to take a quick puppy break and a stretch break for my knee, and I need to grab a snack. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to pause too, because that makes me laugh and smile, but I do like the Boston accent.
You guys sound like
There was
Fargo.
another vehicle
Yeah.
in front of me.
Yeah.
I believe the other vehicle might have been blocking the driveway, but there was another vehicle right on the side of the road as well.
Now, in addition to the other vehicles, as far as
Yes,
cruisers,
MCAT.
fire,
know that
whatever,
Milwaukee
first
accent
responders,
well.
what, if
I lived
any,
in
other
Milwaukee for 7
vehicles,
years.
or who, if anyone else, did you see outside?
There was a
what if any vehicles? Who if any people? Not only is it compound,
it ended up being
it's
Kerry
awkward.
Roberts' vehicle was parked as I was at the driveway. Ford Explorer, I think it was.
And again, without any reference to the content of the conversation, did you have any conversation with Ms. Roberts at that time?
Yes, I did.
First responders still
Did
there?
you know Ms. Roberts at that time?
I knew who she was. Didn't really have a relationship with her, but I knew who she was.
And how did you know who she was?
Friends through the town. She did live in the Ponkapog neighborhood, though I believe she moved in and
What?
we moved out shortly after. I don't know the actual time period. Her kids were a couple of years younger. One was 1 year younger than my child, so I knew who her child was through being the grade beneath my youngest
it the
child
Bella
through
child?
soccer.
And just to be clear, when you talk about the Ponkapog neighborhood, that's where you used to live on Sutcliffe and where Mr. O'Keefe used to live in the house that was the Fir Bush.
Yes, that's correct.
So then,
Ponkapog.
after conversation with Ms. Roberts, about how long was that conversation?
Oh, that was a brief conversation.
Where did you go
She
next?
informed me that she had to.
Nope, that's hearsay.
She was going to pick up the. She informed me Karen was going. She was dropping Karen off back at the house. She was going to the hospital, and she was going to pick up John's parents in Braintree. I told her I would come with her
That's all hearsay.
to pick up the parents. Like I said, the road conditions were pretty bad, and just for safety reasons, I thought I would go with her, help her go pick up the parents. She informed me that Jen was in the house. Jen is waiting to be interviewed by the police.
So where did you go from there?
I then proceeded to the front door of 34 Fairview.
And when you got inside, who, if anyone, was inside when you got there?
When I got to the front door, it was my wife, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, and Officer Lank.
Was Lang
And
talking to everybody together?
When you came in, can you describe,
Because I think that he was.
starting with your wife, Jennifer McCabe, can you describe her demeanor when you first came into the house?
Shocked. Just face was drawn, just kind of in awe. All three of them were just looking like, with a drawn face of, I'm walking and going, what the hell is going on?
And just to be
And
clear, by all
some
three
of that
them,
is
you mean
possibly
your
true
wife,
because they
Brian
were
Albert,
still all
Nicole
in
Albert.
shock about what had happened and what they had to do. And now they're trying to make this family meeting to get everybody on the same page. So some of it was true emotion. Some of it was true shock. And we'll see when Yannetti gets a hold of him. You'll see the line
Correct.
more clear.
And just turning back briefly to the phone conversation that you had from your wife, which led you to come over to Fairview in the first place, how would you describe her demeanor on that phone call as well?
Amanda, he said Carrie Roberts lived in the
Matt,
same
we
neighborhood.
found
they all lived
John.
in.
At Fairview. It was a quick conversation. I didn't get any details.
Now, at some point, While you were at the house, did you speak to, you mentioned Officer Lank was there, is that correct?
That's correct.
Recall if there was any other officers in the house at that time or at any later time?
At that moment, it was just Officer Lank at that moment. Other officers came in the house a little later, but at that moment, it was just Officer Lank.
And at
Officer
some
Lank
point,
talking to everybody.
While you were at the house, did you have any conversation?
crime
What, if any,
meeting.
conversation did you have with Officer Lank or any other officer?
Yes, Officer Lank asked me to step outside, and we spoke briefly. He asked me about if I knew what happened to John. Obviously, I told him no. I had no idea. I'm just finding out right now.
Obviously.
He asked me when I last saw John. I told him I saw him at the waterfall.
I
We
knew
saw him
she
at
was
the
going to
bar.
point out obviously.
We hadn't seen him. I believe, again, heat of the moment, I believe I said we saw his vehicle out front, but we never saw John.
We never
Now-
saw Joe.
For those of you
At
asking
the,
about
the
Lank,
house on Fairview.
Lank was in and out of the house at Fairview 3 separate times. And it wasn't until the last time that he was with Good, but the prosecution did not easily establish a timeline, even though it would be in the police reports, one would think, of when Lank was in and out of the house. He went in, he came out, he went in, he came out, and then he came back because he wanted to talk to Carrie Roberts. No, he wanted to talk to, I think, Jen McCabe. When Jen came back, Lank and Good came back to talk to Jen.
Came back.
About how long were you there?
So it's confusing, like everything in this case.
I'm going to say give her at least 4 hours
From the time that you got there?
from the time I got there, yes.
And where did you go from there?
When I left Fairview, I went back to my house on Jen and I's house, home.
As your children were still there, is that correct?
My children were all there, correct.
And at some point after you arrived home, who, if anyone else, as far as police officers or anybody like that, came to your home that day?
Two Mass State police officers came to my house.
So then the troopers came
And
because they took over the case at some point
did you speak
this
with those
morning.
officers?
Yes, I did.
Troopers from the state police, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And as far as the troopers that you spoke to, do you recall what their names were?
Yes, Trooper Michael Proctor and
Trooper
Trooper Yuri Buchanan.
We'll
I
go
said
with
it
that.
right.
Nope, leave that alone. Just leave that there.
Now, on that
Just leave it be.
on that date of January 29, 2022, had you met either Trooper Proctor or Trooper Buchanan before?
I had never
I
met them.
think it's Buchnick.
And where did they speak with you in the house?
Well, they first came in the house and informed me they were going to interview my wife and asked me to leave the room. I went up to my bedroom.
And at some point, did they interview you as well?
Yes, they did.
At what
Where was your
point
wife when they interviewed you?
did your brother-in-law arrive?
I'm assuming. I think she wasn't in the room with me. I think she went upstairs. As I said, my kids were home. I don't know if she went in the kids' bedroom to kind of wake them up.
Where was your
I
brother-in-law?
don't know what she was
In the
doing.
room when they interviewed you, correct?
No, she was not.
Where's your
And
brother-in-law?
In addition to the troopers came over to your house, did your brother-in-law, Brian Albert, did he come over at any point in time?
Leaving.
around this?
Yes, he did.
And if you know, did he speak with those troopers as well?
Yes, he did.
And where were you and your wife when the two troopers were speaking to Mr. Albert?
I was still upstairs in the bedroom.
Your wife, where was she?
I'm trying. She might have come up and seen me, but I think she might have went in the girls' bedroom. I don't recall if we were standing in the same room. I think she might have went in my daughter's bedroom.
Didn't he just
Again,
say
my
that?
kids were starting to, I don't know the exact time.
I would
12 o'clock,
imagine
give or
your kids
take.
were
So, time to wake up.
So
Like, what the
troopers,
fuck?
When they were speaking to Brian Albert Sr., they were in the downstairs area of the home,
Yes, they were.
and both you and your wife were upstairs?
Yes, that's my recollection.
the way nothing would be able to happen in my house until somebody told me what was going on. I'd be like, I'm sorry, pause.
A
What?
couple days later, did you speak with any other troopers from the state?
I did. I only remember the first name of one of them. It was a man and a woman. I just remember Connor something. I don't know their names.
And where did that conversation occur?
I was in my first floor dining room table.
And do you know if those same two troopers that came on a subsequent date spoke with your wife as well?
Yes, they did.
And sort of same arrangement as far as where you were and where she was at the time that you spoke with those two troopers?
Yes, that's correct.
Emily, stop objecting. Standing objection as to leading, standing objection as to hearsay, as to the we. I wish they would pan out so we could see Lolly's face as he's trying to do whatever he's trying to do. That was a long moment.
Just briefly, sir. So, describing your wife's demeanor, you described her to sort of be in shock. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Any of the officers said.
Your wife display that kind of demeanor before, or have you seen your wife in sort of crisis mode over the course of your relationship and your marriage?
How?
I've seen her in.
What, if any, relevance does Jen McCabe being in crisis mode have to anything? I'm going to speed this back up now that we are out of the statements of the defendant, because I don't.
Crisis mode. I would call it crisis mode as well in the past.
And sort of typically,
I mean,
how would you describe
you have 4
how she
kids. At some
handles
point,
situations like that?
something
What
happened.
in those types of situations?
She is very calm. Very calm.
Sure.
And when,
Way to
just so
describe
it's
her.
clear for the jury, so when you're talking about sort of prior incidents in regard to sort of crisis modes, what types of scenarios, what types of incidents are we talking about?
Objection.
Well,
Oh, they did object.
Previous deaths of my parents, my brother. She is
I'm
the.
sorry for your loss, sir.
She's the one that can get in the room, sit, relax, hold their hand,
Relax.
make them feel comfortable. She's much more. I can't do that. She's much more. So she's done that with my family, and she's also done that with our neighbor.
Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
all right, Mr. Yannetti.
Thank you, Ron.
Sounds very rigid.
Good morning, Mr. McCabe.
Good morning.
Cross-examination of Matt McCabe.
I'd like to start by
Also, he did seem to have more emotion talking about how his wife handles crisis mode than anything else in his testimony. There was a brief moment yesterday when he was talking about John O'Keefe that he seemed to have some genuine emotion. Today, he is plowing through his testimony even when we are not sped up.
discussing January 22nd, the week prior.
I
to
like that
January
Yannetti doesn't come in
29th.
hot,
Do
it
you
builds.
remember that Saturday?
I like that demeanor.
Yes, I do.
You had
It's like a slow boiling
been
pot.
at one of your daughter's hockey games that day?
You don't know it till you're in it.
If it's the Saturday before, we're saying?
Yes.
Yes, I was.
And you wound up going to the hillside in Canton, correct?
That is correct.
You went with your wife,
If I
Jennifer
fast forward
McCabe.
it, will I not hear his teeth noises?
When you got there, you saw Karen Reed and John O'Keefe there together, correct?
I was there.
5-minute stretch break, everybody. None of us are young spring chickens anymore. I'm going to run in and refresh my Pedialyte, and I'll just put up here 5-minute stretch break, and then we will resume with Yeti Spaghetti, the king.
Wait 1 second. Wait. What? Oh no. Wait. What? Oh crap. Hang on. Let me see if I can.
What'd you say, Jules?
Hang on. Let me. I found this. I don't know if you guys ever saw this lady that does share. Yep. Okay. What? What the Christ? Hang on. Did that come up?
Yeah, hang on. Let me see if I can add it.
Did that come up as present?
No, not yet. It says, before presenting a screen, remove other. Oh, wait, I got to remove the other media. Stand by. Forgot. Got to take off the deck. Oh, I got to remove. Okay, hang on. I got to remove Yannetti. There we go. There you go.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, let me do this. Let me do this smaller. All right, so I don't know if you guys ever seen this lady. This is the other lady that does Bev. I thought it was funny. Can you guys hear that?
Is it playing, Julie?
Yep.
I may have to play it. I can play it if you can tell me where to find her. I went to get my snack. I may have to play her for it to work. So hang on, let me try it. Where is she on YouTube?
Yes. Her name is Maureen Hancock.
Yeah, I've watched her. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I think she's anti though, isn't she?
Is she? She's funny.
I don't care if she's funny. I'll watch her. Marine
Ask it
Hancock.
different, okay? Oh my God.
A Marine Hancock website. No, Marine Hancock. Let me see if I can find her.
It is. Let's see. It's Maureen Hancock. Did you see
She's
my
like a
audition for
spiritual
Netflix?
medium. Yeah, there she is. I see her now. Okay, hang on. I got to try to
Got it?
find her.
Okay, let's see.
Well, I'm looking for her YouTube channel. Just a minute, puppy.
All right, we'll take that
Puppy's
down.
like, wait a minute, I didn't get my break. Hang on, let me find this for you guys so I can go take him out. Yeah, MCAT says I have to pee. Okay, we're all taking a 5-minute stretch
Yes.
break. Okay, we'll find this because this is funny. I'll find it as soon as I get back from taking the puppy out.
Okie
So
dokie.
everybody take your 5-minute stretch break.
There we go. Take that off for a second. No, Cootie Coots. There. Wait, am I still? Am I not muted? Nope. Look, you want to be on the internet? Be on the internet. Want to be on the internet? Speak. You do better than that. Speak. Speak. Big speak. Big speak. You're so fucking cute. Big speak. No, you want to do little growls? You want? You gonna be famous? Gonna be like Checkers? Yes, you are. You're gonna be like Checkers, huh? Yeah. We're gonna stuff our fletches now? You are. We're gonna stuff our fletches? Yes, we are. One of us is. You are. One of us is.
Okay, I'm back. I'm going to play Yannetti for a little bit, gang, and I'm going to look for this Marine lady while Yannetti's playing. That way we're moving it along. So I'm just going to start rolling with Yannetti, and as you all come back into the space from your break, I think that was 5 minutes, right? I'm pretty sure. So, 5 minutes, MCAT says. You want 5 more minutes, or our 5 minutes is up? I stretched breaked us at 9:32 and it's 9:39. So we were 6 minutes already. So you want 5 more minutes, or did you mean we're you're ready to roll? Well,
I think we're good. MCAT wrote that about 5 minutes ago. I think we're good.
Oh, got it. I see what she's saying. Oh, I see that now. Okay, perfect. All right. I'm going to roll Yannetti just a little bit, and then we'll come back and show what you got for us. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Whoops. Stand by. I removed it for Julie, so I've got to add it back in. So hang on a second. And there it is. There we go.
Brian Albert and his wife, Nicole, who's your sister-in-law, hung out with Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, correct?
Yes, there was a big group of people hanging out together, correct?
There were other people in addition to the ones that I've just named?
Yes, there were.
So you were with John and Karen for maybe around an hour or so that night of January 22nd?
I'd say, I don't know exactly what time they arrived, but yes, I'd say they were there for at least an hour.
Some people do go
during
calm
that
when they're
hour
stressed.
span
I'm
of time,
challenging
they,
that.
Appeared to be.
It's just he's described Jen's demeanor 2 different ways. And the describing her as calm in a crisis and bursting in with her ass on fire on her brother-in-law, who's a cop, and her sister-in-law, like screaming hysterically, doesn't match with calm in a crisis to me, because generally the calm in a crisis is calm all the way across, and then later it catches up with you. But we will see most people described her demeanor as calm.
Enjoying each other's company?
Yes.
And the two of them had arrived together, correct?
They walked in together, yes.
And there were no problems that night that you could see between John and Karen, correct?
Yes, I did not see any problems.
Okay. Now, moving on to the waterfall on January 29th. I am not going to go through with you who arrived when and who left when and where people sat at which table. We're going to skip all that.
I will thank every deity and every religion, recognized or not, that you're not doing that. For the love of Dave Matthews, I'm so tired of repeating where everybody was sitting.
There was festive, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Everybody appeared to be happy and enjoying themselves, correct?
Everybody was enjoying each other's company.
Yannetti understood the assignment.
With regard to John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, they appeared to be quite happy that Kaylee had been accepted into Bishop Fian, correct?
John, I recall talking to John about it, and he was happy that Kaylee was at Bishop Fian. I do not recall speaking to Karen about Bishop Fian, but definitely John was happy about Kaylee being in Bishop Fian.
All right. You have previously testified that they were both excited about that. Have you not?
If I did, I did. I just know that John mentioned he was out because he was excited about Kaylee being at Bishop Fian. If I looped them both in, then they both were happy. I don't remember what I said when I said it. I didn't put it this way. I didn't see her. She wasn't happy about it. Does that make sense?
He just doesn't specifically remember it.
I'm just going by your words, sir. As far as you could see, they were both excited about her acceptance, correct?
Yes, yes.
And they had just found out the previous day or so, correct?
I don't know if you would know that.
I don't recall what day they found out, but I know that John had mentioned he had went out for some beers. He was excited because Kaylee got into Bishop Fian, and he mentioned he was out with another one of his friends whose daughter also got into Bishop Fian.
Right. And
We like that friend very much. His testimony was
Oh, yes. It was news they were waiting on, yes.
Right. You hadn't heard it before. This is the first that you heard it, correct?
I don't know if I heard it, if a kid had already leaked it the day before or that day, but first I heard it from John.
But it was clear to you that it was really important to John O'Keefe that Kaylee get into Bishop Fian and go there, correct?
They applied. He was excited for her to go there.
And it was clear that he believed it was an achievement for her, correct?
Yes.
And you could glean also that John O'Keefe felt like it was an achievement for him as well, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you glean that from him?
He was happy that she got in. I don't know if he felt it was his achievement. He was happy for Kaylee.
I mean, aren't people normally proud when their kids accomplish stuff they want?
I don't know what that means. They can go to any school and do right.
All right. In any case, everything seemed good that night.
Everything was good.
There were no arguments.
There were no arguments that I saw.
John was drinking beer.
In my recollection, yes.
And you had previously testified that you saw Karen was drinking some type of clear liquid that you assumed was some type of vodka, correct?
That is correct.
But you didn't think that they were drinking much, correct?
At the waterfall? No, they were only there for an hour. So.
Right. And
nobody saw the defendant drinking much.
They got there around 11, correct?
So how are we getting to
give or take, yep, 11-ish.
A DUI?
And that bar is pretty strict about last call, correct?
That is correct.
And you spoke with both of them.
Yet everybody walked out with
correct?
glasses.
Yes.
Neither John nor Karen was intoxicated in your view, correct?
Objection.
No,
Can you answer that?
you asked, Lally, you asked everyone ever if they noticed anyone to be intoxicated. You're objecting now? Sure,
Yep.
Sure, bud.
They were drinking. I don't know what the guideline of intoxication is, but they were drinking.
Were you worried about them driving? Were you like, oh shit, we should take their keys?
Before the grand jury regarding this matter on April 26th.
I bet you did.
Take everybody's keys.
If you have that, then I don't recall my questions.
No, he asked, did you recall testifying? Yes. Matt McCabe is retaking.
Yeah, so I agree with that, Julie. And most of us who know people well enough to go out and drink with them and have parties, unless we're at some kind of Christmas party for work and we don't really know the people, but most of us who know our friends relatively well, we can tell when they probably shouldn't be driving. We can tell when we should take their keys. So, if Karen or John had been, especially if Karen was a driver, had been stumbling or slurring her words or acting like kind of nuts or acting drunk, I think it would have been obvious to everybody. And I've never agreed with how many drinks they say she had. There is no way, something about 7, 8, 9 drinks. There is no way a woman of her size had 8 shots in an hour and a half, because whatever, wherever they came from, there's just no way. No, not possible. She would have been in detox, or she would have been passed out, going to the hospital, throwing up drunk. A woman of her size cannot do 8 or 9 shots in approximately an hour and a half. That is not a plausible explanation, where they're trying to pin drunk driving on her. That's just crazy.
No way. Unless she's just a lousy alcoholic who would, you would have seen signs of that. I don't
even
know
then. Yeah,
Julie. She just doesn't say, I drank when I got home. Like I went home and I had a little, aperitif, like a little Zambuca or something, like just something.
Yeah.
That would account for the numbers in the hospital. But those numbers were crap anyways, but
right. That testimony by Buchanan was insane with the showing the receipts of the drink. So you have no way to know which one of those were her, if those were hers or his or someone else's she bought around, or you don't have any way to prove that. So that they're just lost in the dark there, and they should have never included drunk driving, because she wasn't pulled over. There were no signs. She didn't take a field sobriety test. Way too many hours went by for them to surmise that she was drug driving at that particular hour. That should have never been one of the charges.
Not only that, they didn't have her in custody. Like, it would be one thing if they had her in custody the whole entire
Right.
time, and she did the thing like, "Oh, I'm gonna stall and, wait," and then they said, "Okay, we have her in custody, and her last drink was this time." They're saying her last drink was 12:45. I don't think so at the time of the accident, or I'm sorry, they're going by her blood alcohol at the time of the accident, which was 12:45, according to the state police guy who did the regression analysis, not regression analysis, who did the predictive modeling chart for her blood alcohol. And
But you
there's no
can't
way that
use
you could do
that
that
to
because
charge. You can't use that to charge
Nope.
someone. That's
Nope. That's out the
inadmissible.
window.
Right, it's out the window. So the only way you can do anything with a drunk driver is they either pass or fail a field sobriety test on the scene, or you take them for blood because for whatever reason they can't be given a field sobriety test because maybe they have a disability or a bad back or bad neck or whatever the case may be. So then they are transported. Then they're under arrest and they're transported to the hospital for a blood
And
draw.
they're in custody. Yep, we
They're
keep an eye
custody,
on them.
so-
We know.
Right,
Yep.
right. So there's no way that any of that would have stuck
Nope.
anyway. So they're overreach
are.
on the charges.
Yep, here we are.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, here we are in this cluster F. Police. His name is Bukaki.
Good one, Vermont.
Thank you, Vermont, Brett Smith. I did that on purpose. You all know that, right? Because I'll have to say his name whatever way I feel like saying it at the moment. So I think most people who don't have a clue how to pronounce some people's really difficult names, if they're not friends of theirs, or if they just really don't care how it's pronounced for whatever reason. Yes, I was hoping somebody would chime up, and thank you very much for Vermont, Brett Smith. I love that. Okay, back we go to Mr. Matty Matt.
In the stand, I'm going to go and look at exactly what witness this is.
Wait,
What
what happened?
number?
Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
38.
Uh-oh.
Witness 38.
Stand by. I must have hit a button that I wasn't supposed to. Let me figure out where we are.
Okay.
You were just asked if you ever told anyone, what to tell the state police.
Hang on, guys. It takes me a second. It's going to take me a second to figure out where we were. I accidentally apparently hit the wrong button. I don't remember a code red. So let me go back and figure this out. Okay, there is where, is Unetti part of, I'm trying to see where Unetti came in, because then we can figure out, we haven't been into Unetti that long. So I'm trying to figure out where Unetti came on. And you're not showing me Unetti. Show me. There he is. Okay. Now we can kind of go forward. Anybody remember where we were? I think we're only like an hour.
Trying to impeach this witness on what he said, and he can't refresh his recollection because he's like, no, I remember it clearly. This is not what I said. The points and times are different. I saw it in front of the house, then I saw it by the thing, then I saw it down the way. That's what he says he saw. And he's like, that's what I said I saw.
We weren't there yet, were we? Julie?
I don't know
how I hit the wrong button.
You hadn't play it again. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how I hit the wrong button, but now I got to figure out where the heck we left off.
But I don't know what the guideline of intoxication is,
There
but
we
they were
go.
drinking.
Were you worried about them driving?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Were you like, oh
That's
shit, we
close
should take their
enough.
keys?
Yeah.
Keep my mouse away.
Before the grand jury regarding this matter on April 26th
I
of
bet you did.
2022?
If you have that, then I don't recall my questions.
No,
that
he asked, did you
question
recall
specific, but yes.
testifying?
Right, well, I didn't ask you about the questions. I just
Correct.
asked if you recall testifying before
Facts.
the grand jury on that date.
That's what he asked.
I don't remember the date. I recall testifying before the grand jury.
Oh, if I suggested to you that it was April 26th of 2022, would you?
He's going to be like, whatever it says is what it is.
No, did you say what I quarrel?
Yeah.
You would think,
No, it was
but-
definitely around that time.
Okay. And at that grand jury presentation, Mr. Lally was there, correct?
Yes.
None of the defense
state
team was
grand
there,
jury.
correct?
No.
Karen Reed was not there, correct?
No.
And there was no judge there, correct?
No.
And
No
April
judge?
26th was approximately 3 months after January 29th of 2022.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that your memory about whether or not John and or Karen was intoxicated would have been better on April 26th of 2022 than it would be today?
May we approach, Your Honor?
All right, I'll see you at 10. Jurors, feel free.
I'm going to Zoom. You know what? We'll do our stretch music because we're going to be here a long day today. So Mine as well, as I zoom. Because they're at sidebar. This is
Obviously, you've had social occasions with Miss Brooke.
they're going to ask about levels of intoxication again. I don't know why Lally has issue with this.
Strike that. I'm going to go back to the previous sentence just to put it in context.
Yes.
The previous sentence was from Mr. Lally. Obviously, you've had social occasions with Miss Brooke and Ms. Reed before, correct? And your answer was, oh, yes, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to let that one go.
My answer is yes. I had.
It is Friday. It is the end of week 3. And Your Honor, you aren't sustaining it. You aren't overruling it. You're going to let it go? Your Honor, two more let it goes and we're going to just start calling you Elsa. What is happening?
I don't know if I said, oh,
I love
yes,
that.
but my answer was yes. Of course, I had previous relationships with them.
I'm going to let
sorry,
it
I cut you
go.
off, sir.
I'm saying, of course, I had previous relationships with them.
And the question that I wanted to direct
It's
you
too
to,
fucking
just to
Friday for this.
put it in context, was did either of them, speaking about John and Karen, on this particular evening seem sort of overly intoxicated to you? You recall that question?
I don't recall the specific question, but
whatevs.
That's the question.
And your answer was no to that?
Yes, if that's my answer, then it was no.
All right. In terms
Yeah,
of
no. As
whether
opposed to
you
the
can
no, yeah.
confirm that that was the question and
Yeah,
answer. If
no,
I showed you the
no,
transcript,
yeah,
would that refresh
yeah,
your
no.
memory?
Yes, of course it would.
This is 2103, lines 13 to 15 for counsel.
If you show me what I said, I'm going to remember better what I said.
I
Fact.
didn't ask
The
permission,
papers would help,
so-
yes.
Facts and fair. And he said I didn't ask permission to approach. He's like, I mean, if I said it, I said it.
Thank you.
He's not going to quibble with it, is what he's saying.
Having reviewed that transcript, did I get the question and answer correct?
Yes, you did.
So yeah, I just want to say something for a second here. So they've been chatting in the chat about Chloe, and MCAT asked Vermont Bread, have you looked for Chloe? Is Chloe around? And she said, or he or she, Vermont Bread Smith said, I have not seen her. I've been asking around. And then, yeah, that was MCAT. Thanks, MCAT. Hey, Vermont, do you have Chloe? I've not seen her. I've been asking around. Poor Chloe. And then Vermont says, I have not. Let's see. Oh, Julie says, Chloe's somewhere lost on 89 in the mountains like Milo and Otis. And then Vermont says she's dead. That's hard, Vermont. I believe LEM helped get rid of her somehow. So we were talking about this last night. You said Ellie told some story about finding a stray dog when driving Colin around. Yeah, we were talking about this last night, and we're all kind of like, okay, what? Everything they do has been prepped, organized. They had so much time to prepare and prep for all of this web of lies. There's a reason why that was said, right? So, okay, I was thinking about this last night when I couldn't sleep after we got done. And I'm wondering, I think I'm going to do an open records law on Canton PD and see if I can find out if they did a report. Because when you leave a dog, most police departments don't accept stray animals. Most do not have the ability to do that. But I realize this is a small town. And I was told by somebody on Twitter, I wish I would have saved it now, that Canton does take in the animals and then they call animal control. There has to be a chain of custody for that. There has to be, right? So I'm going to see, I'm going to do that on Monday. I'm going to try to pull the open records law and get that chain of custody report about this supposed dog that was dropped off. And here's what I'm wondering is if that wasn't all a cover so that Kevin Elbert, who would have been already at the police department for sure, we're pretty sure, right? Even though he's been kept completely out of this, his name has barely been mentioned. I think he either Chris Elbert or Kevin Elbert received that dog. That's just
So
what
weird.
I'm thinking,
Yeah,
right?
it's-
Because
it's-
how else did they disappear Chloe that fast?
Oh, I don't know about that, but it's just so weird that Kevin Albert's kept completely out of this. And,
Oh, I know, but I just
mean,
think
he's
they
the one who has that's Canton, who has the last name Albert.
right. He has been just
You would
other
think
than
those-
the testimony. other than the testimony with
And
Proctor,
who had contact, like,
right?
what's going on?
Except when they were talking about driving around drinking, right? Proctor.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah, well, that
working on a
yeah.
case and
Which according
whatever,
to the
and
audit
then
is fine. Like, all right, you have a beer, so what? So what? The guy has a beer. It's hard. People say bad things to him all day long, and it makes him sad, so he has to drink. He had like 1 or 2 or 12 beers, and it was fine. It's all your fault, Canton. Right? That's what the audit said. Ridiculous.
And then he forgot his gun, right? He forgot his service
badge and gun. Yep.
Yeah, and his badge. Right. So anyway, other than that, his name has completely left out of this. I just find it to be really odd and strange. So maybe one of them took the dog somewhere for a couple of days so it wouldn't be at the house, because they might have been concerned that they would come and search the house and they didn't want to be on the property.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. But I don't buy this whole rehoming in Vermont story one bit.
Well, that happened a couple months later.
I know, but I just don't believe. I don't buy it. I just don't believe it. I mean, if that were the case, why wouldn't you want to prove where you rehomed her? Why wouldn't that have already been discussed and it's done? Like, okay, here's the address. This is the name of the couple that we rehomed the dog to.
Yeah.
Why is that not public record? That makes zero sense, right?
Everything
it's just something. There's something very fishy about that too. And MCAT says there's something about that dog story and Chloe. It's so weird. Yeah, that's all just bizarre and weird. I really wish there was some way that like other neighbors had doorbell ring cameras or anybody had surveillance that would see, that we would lay eyes on Chloe. Like, when's the last time anybody laid eyes on Chloe? In that neighborhood, right? That would be interesting to canvass the neighborhood and say, hey, do you remember the last time you saw that German Shepherd? But it's too much time has gone by now. Nobody's memories are going to remember things like that. There's just no way. Yeah, this is going to stay a mystery unless somebody cracks and tells the absolute freaking truth. So, all right, let's go back at it.
Okay, just a couple more things about the waterfall. I wanted to ask you about Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, sir.
Yes.
They were both there that night while you were there, correct?
Were they kung fu
Yes, they both
fighting?
were there.
And they are both pretty big guys, correct?
Were they fast as lightning?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
Yes, they're good sized guys.
Did you
Were they
see
part of the
Brian
diet
Albert
challenge?
and Brian Higgins
Did they have
practicing
Crystal Light?
fighting at the waterfall?
Practicing fighting?
Right. Did you see them kind of square up in a fighting stance to each other?
That's how I feel about this question too. That's how I feel about this question too. That's how I feel about this question too. There's a lot the defense makes of a lot, but sometimes there are reaches that I just absolutely cannot stand. And this is one of the reaches that the defense has been making about them practicing fighting at the bar that is just too much of a reach.
Thank you. Thanks, MCAT, for pulling that up. I took a look back, and Alibi Alley said she drove a stray dog to Canton PD, and when she arrived, the owner was on the phone with a popo, so the popo had Alibi drive the dog home. Well, there should still be a report, because that if she took the dog to the Canton PD, there should at least be a dispo. Dispo is a very short report that just the officer makes in their squad car, and it goes through into the dispatch record, but it's not an official formal report. Some things you don't have to make official formal reports for. You can just do, every department calls it something different. We called it a dispo, a disposition of the officer's actions at that moment. So there should at least be a disposition that this really truly happened, right?
Yes. Should be and actually does happen are two very different things, especially around here. Yeah. So kind of like you don't drive around with lights on. Yeah. People get stuck in traffic and all you do is see one cop car after another, flash the lights and tell everybody to get the hell out of the way. Yeah. They're not supposed to do that, but they do.
Exactly. Well, I'm with you, MCAT. I'm just interested to see what they're going to say about that. And the person who gets the request, and are they going to tell someone else in the department, like, hey, right. this woman, this woman named Catherine, Social Change Warriors, wants the police report of the drop off of the dog that Allie brought to the police department. Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and see if anybody sees that request. Yes, definitely would be interesting. All right, I'm going to make it anyway, so we'll see. I'll definitely let you guys know next Friday Night Lives what becomes of that.
It'll be a treat to see if you get an answer.
Yeah, it will. I mean, I've gotten a lot of answers out of Marion County and Volusia County, so I can't say that all those departments that I'm working with on both those cases have been very responsive and very decent to me.
But he's like, what the fuck? No, they were kung fu fighting. They were fast as lightning. Then they grabbed each other's ass. Somebody got a kiss, and they were just fucking with each other. They
One
were not
the other one.
They were acting like juveniles, is what they were doing. They were just acting.
They were, Emily, but now we know that that's not totally true. And had the defense showed what later on True Crime Kangaroo actually was the one that showed us exactly that weird little dance that was going on at the end where they're like talking to John and Chris Albert is pulling on Higgins' arm and the band guy has to go around because it's obviously something's going on. Why in the world wasn't that part of trial one? That could have made a reasonable doubt difference.
That's my question too. Why are they so vague on it by saying, oh, they were practice fighting? No, they like something happened. You guys were doing whatever, playing grab ass, and then John O'Keefe said something, and all of a sudden Higgy snaps up to attention, and then like it seems like it's off. Why?
But this grab ass stuff for me was all part of like the lead up to what was going on at the end. I think I don't think they were just fooling around. I really don't. I think they were trying to get John's goat right then and there.
You think so? Because there's a point. There's definitely a point where
they weren't there that long.
Like what's up?
They weren't there that long, right? So there's no doubt.
Like about an hour. Like they walked in and like they were there for what, an hour and a half, and like the the final 5 minutes before the two Bryans leave, they show them like, you know, I don't know, squaring off, and then Higgy turns to Brian Albert and gives him a hug, and that's when they grab his ass, and then for whatever reason, Brian Albert decides to mount Higgy, which is very weird in itself, and then like turns around, and then that's when they kiss, and right at that time,
it's raining.
John O'Keefe
just so you guys know, I didn't know it was supposed to rain tonight. So just, you know, in case something hinky happens, it's like pour down here right now. I didn't even know we were supposed to get a storm. So just in case, hopefully we'll get through that. Hopefully we'll get through as far as we need to tonight, but I wasn't expecting rain, but yeah, it's just this weird little, broke back Brian's MCAT says.
That's exactly what it was. So like they mount one another, then Higgy turns around and grabs him, and then they do the kiss, and Brian Albert grabs his ass, and right at that time, John O'Keefe turns and like basically, okay, disclaimer, I'm going to say something bad, like turns to him and was like, "What are you guys, faggots? What are you doing?" And because Higgy turns up and like you know, like stiffens up as a board, and then starts screaming at one another, and they're like, "Here, you want to do this? Come on, heel toe, let's go, come on, let's go." And that's when he's at the door, Chris Albert's holding him, like all it was like this, like they were fucking around beforehand, and all of a sudden like this, you know, on like a hair trigger, he's just like, "Come on, let's go." So
yeah, no, I agree with you completely, and I think a lot of
happened like right then and there. It was like, "Come on, let's go."
But I really think this little component piece prior is definitely a lead up to the end piece. I think they're connected. And I can see why in the beginning, nobody thought that because nobody was focusing on the end piece. But now that you have the end piece and you put it with that little middle piece, that to me, they were all connected because John and Karen didn't get there till roughly 11-ish, right? And so they were literally only in their faces for like an hour total. Oh yeah, I hear the lightning and thunder now, so hopefully we'll get through this okay. All right, we're going to go back now, but I just wanted to chit chat with you guys a little bit about that and see what you all thought. But I think, I mean, attorneys, you know, we hold attorneys at this high level, just like we hold cops and firefighters and nurses and doctors. But bottom line, guys, is they're still humans. And so people are going to die in surgery. People are going to die in police protection when it's not the police's fault. Firefighters are going to die and they may not save the person. I mean, this is life. This is how the tragedy of life goes on. So I think these lawyers effed up a little bit here. I think they did. I mean, there's 4 of them.
Whoa. Time out for 1 second. I'm going to push back a little bit because David's talking about this part, and I'm going to push back a little bit. I don't think it's so much the lawyers. The lawyers are only as good as the case in front of them and what the client is going to go along with. Now you have a pushy client and, somebody who's advocating for herself and, good for her for fighting all this. But you have someone saying, no, we're going to do it this way. No, we're going to go after this one. No, we're going to go after this one, because it seems like they would go after Jen McCabe a lot. Well, Karen Reed goes after Jen McCabe a lot. And for whatever reason, Karen Reed hasn't spoken about what went on at the waterfall or what went on the car ride to 34 Fairview and what happened after she drove off until very recently. So we don't know. For all we know, Karen Reed could have said, yeah, it was fine. Don't bring any of this in because I don't want to talk about it. Talk about this stuff. I think it's a big oversight, because even after it was brought to her attention by Nick Rocco, by her cousin, still mums the word. So seems
Well,
like
I hear you.
they don't
Yeah,
want
I
to bring
hear
it.
you.
You know
I
what I
agree.
mean? So,
Yep, I hear you, and I understand where you're coming from. But I personally feel when you hire an attorney to represent you in a homicide investigation, because we can't say the M word anymore apparently on YouTube, then you have to trust them. And there's 4 of them, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
absolutely.
3 of them plus Karen, plus all the helpers. So if I was working on that team and I saw that video of the last part of the waterfall, because my job was to scrutinize the video, I mean, that shouldn't have been missed.
Nope.
It shouldn't have been missed.
100%.
And then if I'm the attorney and it's brought to me by the paralegals or whoever was doing the video excavating, then I'm going to say, oh, holy crap, look at that. They missed that somehow. And I don't know whose fault that was or why, but I just can't see Jackson and Yannetti passing on using that in trial 1 unless it was missed. And they're dealing with so much that they only have so much time that they can present their case and that they can focus in on video. Yep. But I think it got missed. I could be wrong. I would be very interested. That would be my number 1 question I would ask Yannetti and Jackson. Why didn't you use this the first trial? And I'd be completely shocked if they said, oh, we just didn't think it was relevant, because it's obviously relevant. I don't see Yannetti and Jackson saying that, right?
No, I think it was missed on purpose. I think it was not overlooked. I think it was like, okay, we have this, but we're going to go elsewhere for whatever reason. Be it
I
from
don't know.
them,
They're trying to
from
do
her.
third-party culprit, though. If you're not trying to do third-party culprit, if you're only trying to get her off on that there's too much reasonable doubt, then I can agree with you. But they were going for the third-party culprit the whole time from the beginning. So then how do you not use that damning video?
That's my question too.
Doesn't make sense.
I mean, you have 2 very, very, very accomplished attorneys. Why wouldn't that be brought in unless somebody put the kibosh on it and said, absolutely not?
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm confused by that.
Doesn't make any sense. Yep.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It actually sort of alarms me a little bit, to be totally honest
me too.
with you.
Me too.
I don't like it. So I'm really going to be interested to see how they introduce that in this trial. Because if they don't introduce that in trial 2, I'm going to be flabbergasted.
Well, you, me, JFK, and James, definitely.
Yeah. Microdots, Kangaroo, True Crime Kangaroo, Lily. Thank you you were the original person to see it and draw attention to it. So, okay, back we go and see how far we get before I get tired.
They were just messing with each other. It's just getting ridiculous. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. This is such a wild case, and there was so much there trying to make fetch happen of the little bits that's okay. I'm just gonna let it go. Yes, I'll play it again.
They both were there,
And they are both
We'll play it again.
pretty big guys, correct?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
yes, they're good sized guys.
Did you see Brian Albert and Brian Higgins practicing fighting at the waterfall?
Practicing fighting?
Like, did you see them kind of
agree with that
square up in a
reaction.
fighting stance to each other?
I recall them grabbing each other. I don't recall them squaring up like they were fighting each other.
They were grab-assing
They were playing
each
a little
other.
grab ass with each other.
Hey!
I did see them grab each other. I don't.
Somebody actually said grab ass. Sir? So you have read that situation correctly. You continue to read that situation correctly. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. There might be more. There might be more there, but they were just messing with each other. I mean, again, it's like those text messages in the Depp Heard case where, you know, they were trying to make it something so much more. And I'm like, I have other uses for your throat were clearly sexts. They were clearly about, you know, not anything beyond the realm of adulty interactions. So trying to make fetch happen sometimes can come across too much. We'll see where the rest of Cross goes. But this is funny. This witness might get absolutely flamed later, but this is funny.
Square up in a fighting stance to each
The
other.
grabassery of it all.
I recall them grabbing each other. I don't recall them squaring up like they were fighting each other. No, they were playing a little grab ass with each other. I did see them grab each other. I don't recall a physical, hey, let's go duke it out. I do not recall that.
I think the jury
so
probably
are you
relates to
saying,
that.
taking you literally, that they grabbed each other's asses? Is that it?
No, I'm saying grab ass. It's a figure of speech.
Okay.
Actually, we've
they
seen
did
this
that
video
too.
15 times now. Somebody does grab somebody's ass. It does happen.
But what they didn't grab each other. They
did.
in a fighting stance, weren't they? Didn't they crouch down low with each other?
I'm telling you, I don't recall seeing them crouching in a fighting stance. I recall them.
Roll the tape. Somebody grabbed each other's video.
Somebody.
Roll the
I don't
tape.
remember who grabbed who. I just recall
Grab
like
the
a bear
tape.
hug or something. I thought I recall them doing a bear hug.
All right. So you
From behind,
recall
that did
them,
happen.
One of them getting behind the other one and kind of restraining them or grabbing them.
I think there was a bear hug, yeah.
I don't think he was
That's what-
restraining
That's in
him. I
my
think he
memory.
was.
I don't.
For
And
fuck's
you would agree with me
Unity.
that after closing time, Brian Albert and Brian
Closing
Higgins were two of the
time.
people who went back to 34 Fairview Road, the Albert home, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But before everyone left, before you left, it was announced
I'm
around
guessing
the
Unity has
table
never
that
grabbed one of his
everyone was
friends'
welcome
asses while
back
drunk.
at Brian Albert and Nicole Albert's house, correct?
Unity, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that, man.
Karen Reed and John O'Keefe were both there when that invitation was announced, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree that it was expected that Karen Reed and John O'Keefe would go to the Albert home that night, correct?
If they wanted to come, they were welcomed, yes.
And that plan would have been for them to go inside the Albert home, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what time you left the waterfall?
Robbie said, why has nobody said horsing around? That's literally what they were doing. This witness means grab ass in the exact same way as horsing around, that they were messing with each other. They were grabbing at each other. They were horsing around. They were fucking with each other. That's the context this witness means it in colloquially. So that's what he meant. He meant they were literally just messing with each other or horsing around or what have you. I think horsing around maybe would colloquially refer to people who are younger, and he's referring to people who are older messing with each other. It doesn't want to say they were fucking with each other in court, but they were messing with each other. Much is being made out of not much in this context. There is so much in this case. I don't know why this is becoming much, because there is so much else. So no, Chad, it is not meant in this context in any sort of a asexual way. It is meant in a messing around, grabbing at each other type of a way. So there are, which I understand that American colloquialisms need a lot of context because they have multiple meanings. Our version of English is deeply confusing, which I understand because especially for our international neurospicy friends, there can be multiple meanings depending on context of the thing. In this thing, they mean fucking around or yeah. So the defense is not going to say horsing around, but the witnesses haven't. So
I left the waterfall after midnight, give or take 12:10, 12:15.
I'm surprised you didn't just show him the video
time
of them
a little before 12:15,
messing around.
Definitely 12:10ish, 12:15ish in there.
And you were one of the last to leave the waterfall?
He was cleaning up
Yes, as I had
glasses.
mentioned, Nick Kolakis and I walked out together from the waterfall.
He seems
Your
lovely.
wife, Jennifer McCabe,
He was
had
helping
walked
clean
out
up.
of the bar
We stand the
physically before you
Kolakis.
did, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you actually met her in the parking lot?
She was already in the vehicle in the parking lot, correct?
And then you got into the car to drive to the Alberts home, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So I'm going to ask you about the ride back to the Alberts home in a bit, but right now I want to skip to when you
Yannetti
got there.
has to know.
Okay?
Okay.
When you first got there, your wife parked your vehicle in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
Which side of the driveway did she park your vehicle in?
My notebook is
As
almost
I mentioned
exhausted.
yesterday, I don't recall if it was immediately on the left, meaning the left towards the lawn, or if she was in the next spot over. She pulled in. I don't remember exactly if it was here or one spot over, but she pulled
How many cars were
into
in the driveway at that time?
at least two. I don't recall if there was more than two.
So if there was at least two, those two would have been parked abutting the garage area. In other words, would they be? Let me rephrase. So there are 2 lanes in that driveway, correct?
It seems like there's 3.
My recollection is 2 lanes, but there is more space I know when we go over and we've gone over, there's more space to kind of park 3 cars
Right?
to the right, correct?
Okay.
But we
I
weren't
mean,
to the right.
everyone
We were
seems to have a
either
lot of
left
cars
or
going on.
middle.
They are large
You were
families.
behind one vehicle, whichever lane you were in, or were you pulled right up to one of the garage entrances?
I don't recall if we pulled all the way in or not, but I don't remember.
So there were at least 2 vehicles.
That's
in
an
the
I don't
driveway
remember. I
before you
actually
got
believe
there,
in this
correct?
case. So many of them
In the
I
driveway?
Yes.
have not found truthful.
Yes, there were cars in the driveway.
And when you parked in the driveway, fair to say that there was no black SUV at the Alberts home?
Are you referencing Karen's SUV? I don't know what color the Alberts cars were.
Oh, okay.
Are you referencing their SUV?
Put it this way. Yes, I'm referencing Karen's SUV.
What if
That
any
was not at the
SUV?
home.
And that was not in the driveway, correct?
Karen's SUV was not in the driveway.
And it was not adjacent to the property or on the street anywhere that you could see?
Correct. It was not there.
All right, but you say that there was a Jeep in the street at that time, correct?
He did say there was a
There was
Jeep
a
in the
Jeep
street.
Parked in front of the end of the driveway, in front of the mailbox.
Enter the Jeep
He did
conversation.
say
And
Jeep
that
in the
Jeep
street.
belonged to Brian Higgins.
I
Does he
found
know
out
that?
it belonged to Brian Higgins. I didn't know it was his Jeep when I arrived.
Found that
And
out
it had
later.
a plow on the front of it.
Yes, it did.
How
It
did
was
everyone else not
parked
see that though?
Adjacent to the Alberts
Doesn't
property
make
on
any fucking
Fairview,
sense.
That's right.
facing
It doesn't
toward
make
up the
any
hill
sense
toward
at
Chapman
all.
Street, correct?
Yes.
And at the time that you arrived, that was the only vehicle that was parked on Fairview Street adjacent to
Makes
the
no
Alberts
sense to
property,
me.
correct?
Yes.
And your testimony is that that Jeep remained parked in front of the Albert house, just to the left of the driveway as you faced the house, until Brian Higgins finally left and drove it away at the end of the night, correct?
That's my recollection, was his Jeep was out in front of the mailbox.
With the court's permission,
That's your
could we
recollection,
display
okay.
Exhibit 66?
Okay.
Every time he says 66, I just think of Star Wars. Chat, if there are spoilers in the chat, thank you, Law Nerds, for reminding everybody. I am behind, and we are trying to zoom and catch up. So I'm sure other stuff has happened today, but we'll see it as it unfolds.
For the spotlight,
Thank you.
the
We
front
appreciate
of
the
Alberts home,
respect.
when I get to the point where the Jeep was parked, can you stop me? And you can adjust it right or left if I go too far.
Objection, Your Honor.
Can we have him use the laser pointer first and then?
Sure.
What's he objecting to?
Hope you're better than I am. May I, Coach?
I was hoping I didn't have
Oh,
to
you're
do
the
this.
other lady.
So let's keep in mind, everybody, that we just recently listened to the testimony of Ricky, of Heather, and Ryan. And not one of those 3 young adults saw a Jeep, because if it was there where he is about to testify that it was, right in front of the mailbox, the kids never said that. They said that they pulled up behind Karen Reed, and they said they pulled up in front of the driveway right behind the mailbox. All 3 of them mentioned the mailbox as a tactical point, and then said Karen's car was literally just right up in front of them. So this is crazy. This lie that Jen and Matt tried to put off on us, and Higgy too. And I don't get it. Like, so why, right? What in the hell is going on? Julie, do you have any idea?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, the only thing I could think of is that somebody might have mentioned it in passing, and then they got locked into testimony, and now they're stuck. And I don't know, because I guess that they all had to go in front of the grand jury at some point, and so I don't know if like one of them said, "Oh, I just saw this and this, and then I saw this and this, and then I saw this and this," and like 5 of them said, "Oh, we didn't see the Jeep," but 2 of them said, "Yep, we saw the Jeep. He was there. He was there. He was there." I mean, unless it's to say like, "Oh, Higgy wasn't there," but no, Higgy definitely was there. Like to place him there. Like if we go down, like if we go down, you're going down with us.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
don't.
doesn't make it doesn't make any sense. But then again, these people are also like they were all shit faced. They were all
Yeah, but to
um
be so adamant that
running.
the Jeep, to be so adamant that there's a Jeep
Yeah,
parked in front of the mailbox, both of them when they got there, and then when they got there, it's roughly what 12:15. Karen's about to pull up, and within 5 minutes, and then Ricky and the kids are about to pull up, the young adults, like a minute or two after her. So where did Higgins' Jeep go?
yeah.
If
I
it
mean,
truly,
yeah.
right, if it truly was there when Jen and Matt pulled in, then where did it go before Ricky and Karen got there? That's the question. That's the question.
Oh,
So
I see what you
it's
mean. Like if he was there and then
mhm,
left
mhm.
somewhere or drove somewhere to go get something and then came back or went across the street or
Right.
whatever.
Like
I see.
if he arrived because he got there first, like he
Yeah.
says, and he plowed the driveway for everybody, and then he pulled out and parked in front of the mailbox, went in the house, then the McCabe's get there, they see the Jeep parked in front of the mailbox, they go in the house, then at some point in the next 5 to 7 minutes before Karen pulls up and before the young adults pull up, Higgins goes somewhere. And then when he comes back, Karen's already gone, the kids are already gone.
Mm.
If they're telling the truth that Higgins' Jeep was parked there, there's no other scenario, because those 3 kids are not lying, and there's
No,
no
no,
way
no.
they would have missed that Jeep, right?
Yeah.
Cat just says that the Jeep thing is so weird. Yeah,
Yeah, like it doesn't
I
make any
agree.
sense. Like
Yeah,
like the alley dog thing. Like, is this supposed to be for an alibi? Is this cover? Is this to
right.
say like,
It's
yep, the Jeep is
something
absolutely
because
there, and everybody saw it because it was right out front. Everybody saw that it was there.
yeah,
Like,
it's definitely
is that what
something
that was
because
for?
everything they do is diabolical. So we're going to keep working on this on Friday Night Lives. We're going to keep working on this Jeep thing, but I've never verbalized that before, ever, on a live show or even in a tweet. I've never verbalized my thoughts that maybe there was that sliver of time where Higgins went somewhere to grab something. That's a small town. It doesn't take that long to go somewhere. What
Nope.
if he had riddle me this, our sleuths here tonight and our sleuths on replay. What if Higgins got there, he walks in, they ask him, hey, what do you want to drink, Jameson with the ginger, and they don't have it. And so he's like, oh, I'll be right back. And he runs over to the police department to get his Jameson that's at the police department in his file cabinet. And then when he gets back, Karen and the kids are already gone. And then he walks in, and that's when the fight ensued.
I
What
mean,
if
maybe.
that's how it went down?
I mean, that makes more sense than they pull up. John skips into the house and then immediately gets attacked, and his phone
Right.
mysteriously walks 83 paces out, and then it disconnects from the Bluetooth at 12:32 and whatever, and she starts screaming yeah, like whatever the story has been for the last like 2 or whatever years it is,
Yeah, exactly.
like he's not like he's obviously not down. There's a storm, all sorts of stuff's going on with the Wi-Fi and everything else. I think that it happened later, and
Mhm.
yeah, that story would make sense where Higgy showed up and was like, "Oh my God, you don't have Jameson and ginger? Let me go,
Ex-
let me go."
Exactly, especially because he doesn't drink beer. And like Auntie Deb said in one of her parodies, you know, if if there's no beer, Higgy ain't here. So Kim Cat says, I watched Barty Miller. The booze is in the file cabinet. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have no doubt that Higgy has a bottle in his file cabinet in his office at the CP, at the Canton PD. I would have no doubt. Yeah. Cat says, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's very possible that if Jen and Matt are absolutely glued to that, and that is the truth, that's where they saw Higgins' Jeep. And the only reason why Lally's even asking this line of questioning, guys, is because they're trying to make it look like, you know, where Karen's car was parked, and then they wanted him to give that testimony how she kept moving up, because they need her to move up in order to be able to back up 25 feet. They need witnesses to say that Karen kept moving the car up. So that's why they needed, obviously there's a reason why they needed that Jeep there. I still don't quite get what it is, because if that Jeep was there and Karen backed up going 25 miles an hour in reverse during a snowstorm, she would have hit that Jeep. There's no way she's that a good enough driver to be able to back up. I mean, all of you, do not try this at home, but trust me, I have had training in this. It is not easy to drive 25 miles an hour and backwards. It is just not. So I don't believe she could have done it anyway without ending up in the front yard or in Higgins' Jeep, if they're telling us, and we are to believe, that Higgins' Jeep was definitely there. So none of this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't jive with Ricky and the other young adults in the truck, Heather and Ryan. And it doesn't jive with her backing up 25 feet perfectly like a race car driver and hitting John, but not hitting anything else, not ending up in the front yard of the Alberts house, or ending up, you know, askew across the street, or in the driveway hitting the Alberts' other cars, which all of that would have and could have happened if somebody's backing up 25 miles per hour in a snowstorm.
None of it makes any sense. I mean, 62 feet. I mean, from the door to from the door horizontal, in a straight line, from the door to the end of the property line by the flagpole, I think it's about 35 feet, and you add a little extra. I mean, just to go 62 feet, and that's just going 62 feet from zero. I think, what was it, 2 seconds to go 62 feet in, you know, in what
I kept saying 25. I meant 25 miles an hour. You're saying that 62 feet and 25 miles. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yes. So they're saying that you went 62 feet in reverse, and then
20,
and then immediately stopped. So something has to apply. Either you need to find something that's going to have the stopping power, like a brick wall or a building or something that's going to stop you, or you're on a dynamometer and it stops you, or you're spinning in the snow. Something stopped you, because if this were actual practicality, you would have knocked into Higgins' Jeep, you would have knocked into Ricky's F-150, you would have knocked into all the cars in the driveway, because there's no way you're stopping 7,000 pounds, 3.5 tons in snow. Like, there was still snow on the ground, so the mule friction, which is the amount of friction that you have on the road, is a lot less, so it's a lot more slick. There's no way that you're going to do any of that. Not to mention the amount of force that you would need to stop, you know, very suddenly. Like, brakes are awesome, but you still have to account for reaction time and everything else. And everybody's shit-faced, so that's...
Yes. If we are to believe the young adults, though, and not believe Matt and Higgy and Jen, they were gone. So they pulled past Karen. She was still sitting there with her dome light on, fiddling on her phone. So they pulled past her. So then after that, then Jen will testify that she keeps peeking out the window and that Karen moves up again. There'd be no reason for Karen to move up again, because now the kids are gone. So the kids are gone. There's no reason. Now, here's the only reason. What if Higgy was at the PD and he did come back with his Jameson and Ginger, and he pulled up behind Karen, and that freaked her out because she saw it was Higgy in the plow, so she moved up again, which is what Jen McCabe would have witnessed, and they're not telling us that Higgy left and came back. See, there's so much that we don't know yet. There's so many lies in this story and in this case, and so many things have been left out that we have no fucking clue about, because they have left it out. So, but even if that isn't the case, even if Higgy never left and he truly was never parked there, and Jen and Matt they're making them lie for whatever reason to fit their narrative of Karen backing up. If we are to believe the three young adults, there was no car there. So if Karen did back up those long 62 feet, she would have had that whole strip to go. And if she did hit John, like you said, a body's not going to stop that car. So she would have kept going. And if the roads were slippery, she would have tailspin. She would have ended up somewhere else. And then that would have caused noise. That would have caused a ruckus. So then they can't say that there's no way they wouldn't have heard that.
Not only that, there's no clear path unless you go into the guy across the street's driveway and you angle yourself up because of the fire hydrant, the pole, and the utility box. So there's no way to get to where John ended up and have the quote unquote debris field and everything else match.
No, it doesn't match a bit.
Driving in a straight line. There's no way for any of that. So there's another thing that doesn't drive.
It just adds to the pile of reasonable doubt that a jury should be able to say, there's too much reasonable doubt in this case. We cannot convict this person. We have to acquit her. Boom. End of story. Done. Will we ever find out what really happened to him? Will we have arrests? Will there be more trials? I have no clue. I just don't know if they have enough evidence to arrest any of these people. That's the problem.
I think they have some. Like, you squeeze some of these people for not, they won't get them directly off of on the first go around by saying like, yep, we have, you dealt the final blow, and so we're going to do first or second degree murder on you. I think they're going to get them by squeezing all the people around and say, hey, tell us.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to get a confession out of somebody because they don't have any evidence to speak of to convict any of these people right now.
Nope.
To convict them. So if they can't convict them, they're not going to prosecute them, and they're not going to, they could arrest them, but they won't be able to prosecute them.
They get close. Just they can't figure out which one actually, did it.
Yeah, right. We need
delivered the final.
MCAT says agree again, and then MCAT says need Proctor to see and Nicole. Yeah, for sure. I wish. Okay, let's go a little bit longer, and then let's get to your stuff, and then we're going to have to resume next week.
I don't have one.
The witness. I was hoping I didn't have to do this. This is helpful. I like the
Jeep was right there.
Recreation, because we get a good perspective
on the edge of the
house.
driveway. It's right there. I believe it was a 2-door Jeep.
Okay, it looks like part of the Jeep would have been blocking the driveway.
No. Where the mailbox is, the Jeep was right there.
Okay.
It was not blocking the driveway.
The Jeep was at the mailbox.
That's at a funny angle.
How does nobody else see the Jeep though? The entire carload from Ricky.
That's right, Emily.
When Julie Nagel went outside to talk to her brother who was in Ricky's truck, because now we're just going to retell this case like we're telling a story from lunch at the junior high. When Julie went out to talk to her brother in Ricky's truck, nobody saw a Jeep with a snowplow. Ricky didn't see it, the driver. He also didn't lose the number. Julie didn't see it. Julie's brother didn't see it. His brother's ex-girlfriend didn't see it. Brian Albert Jr. didn't see it. I have so many. How do 5 people not see a Jeep with a snowplow? It's
because it wasn't there.
It's so confusing to me.
It was not
Would
there.
that have been where the back of the Jeep was?
Yeah, the back would have been right in the vicinity of the edge of the driveway in the mailbox.
I see. So it wasn't blocking the driveway at all when you saw it?
No.
And it was facing to the left as we look at Exhibit 66, correct?
Heading to the left of the house, correct.
Okay. We can have the lights back on.
So Kathy, my friend Kathy made a really good point. Do you think the feds know a bunch more and are waiting for this trial's outcome before they attack? I certainly hope so. I have a hard time believing that they didn't find out more or figure out more. But remember, again, they sort of have pulled off the perfect crime because they got the cooperation of Proctor and Tully and these other idiots from Mass Police and Canton. there's they sort of have pulled off the perfect frame job, just like Sam, with help from the judge, his judge uncle, and the cops and the government, pulled off the perfect frame job of framing Ellen Greenberg for her own unaliving, even though she got stabbed 20 times and nobody has ever believed it. They've never been able to overturn it. And we're still waiting now. They still haven't done anything. We're waiting for that new medical examiner who's supposed to be looking at the case and making a determination if that is the case, that there's no way they believe she could have done that. All the medical evidence says no way, but he's been free and clear living his life since 2011. And all of his co-conspirators have been living their lives since 2011. So it can be done. You can pull off more or less the perfect crime. And I think in some weird ways, I think the Alberts have done that. The Alberts, the McCabe's, the McAlberts, as Turtle Boy and everybody started calling them. But I call them the Alberts and the McCabe's because I want people to know who they are and that they and who their last name is. So I wonder if the feds don't have any more than what they could get, because what could they get? Where did they get it from, right? If nobody's talking, nobody's singing, how could the feds have any more than, I don't know, Kathy, that's a great question. And again, I really hope so. I really do hope so, that after this trial is over, that they're going to bring the hammer down and that they did find incriminating evidence, or they did find enough for it to be circumstantial.
Yeah, somebody needs to start applying pressure. But that's just it. That's the reason why everybody stay quiet. Where they think, "Oh, you mean all these people?" Well, if there is any pressure on them to say anything, then they're not going to say anything. So there you go.
Yeah. And you said, and I just put it up, I hope that's the case, Kathy. I'm not sure if they're waiting to get a bunch of people on perjury or what. And yeah, thanks, MCAT, for agreeing with me. There's no way that Jeep was there. Those 3 kids have absolutely zero reason to lie. And then Brian Albert Jr. didn't see it from inside either. So, and Julie Nagel didn't see it, but I don't trust her. I sure hope the feds have more and are doing nothing to make all involved feel comfortable that they are getting away with it. Yeah, Kat, I know. We all feel that way at this point. This case is just so pathetic, but it's pathetic on face. It's just not pathetic if, let's just say that there just was a lot of doubt if Karen did it or didn't do it. Let's just say there wasn't this big camp of Karen Reed supporters. Like most people who go to trial don't have a camp of supporters and protesters and live streamers and YouTube creators.
Yep.
Let's just say that was the case. Even in a normal, regular, run-of-the-mill, boring old murder trial, this case is shit. It had a terrible investigation, issues with Proctor. Nothing makes sense. Too many things cause reasonable doubt in just anybody's mind, not anybody that's a professor in law enforcement or an attorney. So just on face, this case should never have even gone to trial. The grand jury royally screwed up, even sending this to trial. And then those jurors, and I apologize to you jurors, I know you're doing your civic duty, but the 8 of you, you got it wrong. You just got it wrong. So that's where I'm at with this. Regardless if she did or didn't do it, in our country, you cannot convict someone if there's reasonable doubt. And in Massachusetts, it has to be with a moral certainty. And they don't have that. They didn't have it in trial 1, and they will not have it in trial 2. Let's see what you have to say. I'm Kat. Heather couldn't break up with Ryan faster, and she wanted out of dealing with Canton and Cantonites. Oh, for sure. I agree with you. It's going to be interesting is she on the witness list? I still haven't had time, you guys. There's like over 90 people. I haven't time to confirm or deny. Does anybody remember seeing her? Are they bringing her back?
Don't remember.
MCAT says terrible police work, and Proctor seems to have done a deceitful job. Yeah, in the Walsh case as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a terrible. Oh my God, you guys, there have been so many domestic violence cases, and I'll talk about that another night, but I've been finding out way more in the last couple of weeks of another one here in Florida where the police knew this guy was crazy. They knew he was making threats. There were 4 restraining orders. This poor girl had moved her father into her house because she was so afraid of him. And he killed her father. He ran after her down the street. She hid in a neighbor's house, and he broke in and shot the neighbor and her. And this happened just south of me near Miami. I mean, it's heartbreaking because she asked for help. She pleaded for help. She told law enforcement he was dangerous. And it's just, they don't take domestic violence seriously in this
No,
country.
they do not.
It is
Nope.
so fucking frustrating, the amount of victims that we're dealing with right now. Sandra Birchmore, Ellen Greenberg, Suzanne Morphew in Colorado, Suzanne Clark Simpson in San Antonio. Now this new victim over, and then you've got the other woman who he strangled her and put her in a pond. He weighted down her pockets with pebbles. That's another case out of Norfolk County. And I feel terrible. I can't think. Katie McLean. I mean, people, and then he ended up only getting, he got manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, and he admitted he did it.
Mm.
And yet a jury, and now they're trying to get Karen for murder one. I mean, God, you guys, it's just utterly sickening what is happening in this country with domestic violence. And the numbers are so scary. And I was talking about that on Wednesday, and I'll talk about it again next week. It's just horrifying. We have to do something as a nation. We have to do something to get these women away from these men. And the only thing you can do for them is get them in. You have to try to force counseling on them, court ordered, because they'll find another mate and they'll abuse another mate. It won't end with the person who is able to get free. They're still out there. They're still a domestic violence abuser. They still have violent tendencies and violent narcissistic issues. Yep. So until you can get that man and get him into some kind of court ordered, mandated psychological, rehabilitation, which is what Ellen Pence believed in out of Minneapolis. She believed that men could be rehabilitated if they can get away from that person that they're fixated on and get a divorce or get a separation during the counseling. And then it's up to the woman if she wants to trust that he's been rehabilitated. But Ellen Pence was really big on rehabilitation, and she had a lot of studies to prove that domestic violence is a different monster than like sociopaths or serial killers, or domestic violence is a whole different monster. So that, in her mind and in all of her 30 years of research, she did prove that you can stop domestic violence. You just have to be willing to face that it's happening. And most communities don't want to face it because it's embarrassing. Most families feel embarrassed by it. Grandparents, parents feel embarrassed by it. And that's the problem, is we're not facing it head on, and more women are going to continue to die. Sarah Ebersol, there's no doubt in my mind, was unalived by her ex-boyfriend who had been stalking her for months and months and months, and was using coercive control over her and threats. And I know Joe Mayton did something to Sarah, and that's why she's still missing. I absolutely know it. And that's just an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. So you know what's going on. There's something happening right now, miles from me, because every 9 minutes a woman is getting beat up by the domestic violence partner. That is just the facts, and it's really sad and it's terrible. We just have to do better. Yes, Doctor. Thank you, MCAT. That was Dr. Turek. Turk. Yeah, I watched that case, and unfortunately, I agree with the verdict. Well, that's okay. You can agree with the verdict. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the verdict. It's just that it should have never got to that. That there was so much. Same with Suzanne Clark Simpson in San Antonio. It should have never got to where it got, where they still haven't found her body, because he's arrested, but he's not talking. So, and Suzanne Morphew was definitely unalived by her husband. There's no doubt in my mind, absolutely no doubt. And so he's not talking, and they haven't rearrested him. When they arrested him the first time 2 years ago, they didn't have her body. Way too much evidence pointing to him, but they don't feel they have enough to prosecute, to get a jury to say beyond a reasonable doubt. It just makes me so sad for women. And I saw this podcast. I'm going to show pieces of it next Wednesday when we live. This man was actually saying, ladies, I've done all this research. I've done studies. And he, in his mind, based on his studies and his research, if you're a single woman between over 50 and you're either widowed or divorced, or you've never been married and you're trying to date, he said that you only have, out of 10 guys, there might be 2 good ones. So the other 8, you have to really watch your back and be careful, because if you choose to date the other 8 in any capacity for any amount of time, you could be in danger. And I'm listening to this going, I think he's right. It freaks me out, but I think he's right. And then I'd be interested to see research on the younger generation from 18 to 49 that are single or never been married or divorced or even widowed young. What does he feel about that generation? Are they in as much danger as my generation? Because it is scary. It really, truly is scary. So anyway, sorry, we kind of went down that rabbit hole, but that's part of what I do. As you guys know, I stand for victims of domestic violence, and I help their families try to solve their unsolved homicides and try to help them find some type of peace and justice. But it's very hard to do. A lot of these guys get away with murder. Sorry, you too, but murder is a thing. I don't know why we can't say it. It really pisses me off. You can't say it on TikTok either. And you can't say the R word. Like, what is wrong with social media these days? I am not understanding this. I need to do some research on that. I think we need to have a standout about this. We should be able to use words that are in the dictionary that have always been words for very horrible crimes, because horrible crimes are what they are. They're horrible crimes. Someone's life has been taken. Someone has been attacked. Someone has been sexualized without their permission. We should be able to use the words that were given us by the powers that be and that are still in the dictionary. I don't know why you guys all think you have the power now that, social media, that you can like slap us on the wrist or I'm not monetized, so I can pretty much say anything I want as long as I don't threaten anybody. But those that are collecting super chats or that are collecting percentages of ads, like a lot of live streamers do, they will get demonetized for that section of their show if they use the M word, the R word, the S word. It's just, I don't understand it. I really don't get it. So I may have to do some research on why and how this all came about. MCAT says, if we don't say it, it isn't true. Come on, YouTube. Exactly. Right. Exactly. All right. Let's go back and wrap up a little bit of Matt, and then we're going to get to Julie, and then we're going to wrap it up tonight. But thanks, you guys. It's been a great conversation tonight.
It's so confusing.
Front door?
The classic front door looking at the house.
It's now the
Yes, to my recollection, the Jeep was still outside in front of the mailbox.
The black SUV was
Not
parked
possible.
in front of Higgins' Jeep with the plow on the front, correct?
That's correct.
How far or close to that Jeep was the black SUV?
I don't recall the exact distance. Again, when I looked outside, I noticed my focus was on the black SUV, which looked outside would have been in front of the front door.
With regard to the distance between the Jeep and the black SUV, was it greater or smaller than the distance between you and me right now?
Oh, it'd be smaller.
What?
If I'm the end of if you're the end of the Jeep and I'm the end of the
Let's say that I'm the
Lexus,
rear end of the black
This isn't gonna
SUV,
go well.
and you're the front end of the Jeep.
Beep beep.
yeah, I'd say you'd be a little closer to me.
What?
With the court's permission, may I walk closer to the witness so that he could give an estimate?
Sure.
And you can just stop me, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, when I looked outside, I was focused on the SUV. I wasn't focused on the Jeep
And
or
why,
the truck.
Matt? Why do you?
I don't know the exact distance. You can walk 3 more feet or 3 feet that way, but it was out in front of the house. That's all I can tell you.
What?
I know that doesn't
You
make any
will-
friggin' sense.
Agree with me that
No.
you've given conflicting information about where the black SUV was when you first saw it?
If you tell me I gave conflicting information, you can show it to me. I don't recall. I've always said the SUV was in front of the house.
Right. And when you said in front of the house, you meant that as you look out the front door of the Albert residence, which on Exhibit 66 would have been the door to the left, that's the classic front door,
The classic front door looking at the house
now the
on the
classic
main
front
part
door?
of the Colonial.
looking straight out from there, that's where the black SUV was positioned, correct?
In that vicinity, correct.
Right. It would have been sort of directly in front of you as you look out that front door, correct?
Like I said, in the vicinity of looking out the front door was the black SUV. If it was 3 feet this way or 3 feet this way or 3 feet that way, I don't know. It was just out in front of the house.
Right. And that was where it was when you first spotted it, according to your testimony today, correct?
Yes.
But you spoke to Michael Proctor during the afternoon of January 29th, did you not?
Yes, I did.
That was the very day that these events occurred, correct?
Yes, it was.
You would agree with me that your memory of where that black SUV was when you first spotted it on January 29th would have been better on that very day than it would be today, correct?
Possibly, yes.
It's almost 2.5 years later.
2.5 years that I've lived in my memory, yes.
But your memory does not get better over time, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
On January 29th of 2022, when you
Look at his
spoke to
face.
Michael
He's like, this guy, are you for real? I don't know if that's going to go well.
you told him that you saw a black SUV parked
Spoiler, it
to the
doesn't.
right of the residence as you look at the property from the street. Did you not?
I did not. Can you elaborate what you mean by to the right of the residence?
Well, you said it. He was going to want you to elaborate.
Well,
That's right, Emily.
I will just repeat the question.
Good.
Did you tell Michael Proctor on January 29th of 2022 that you observed a big dark SUV parked to the right of the house?
What right? Looking at the house to the right, or looking at the
out
house
to the right?
left? When you say right, I don't know what you mean by right.
Well, you're
Is
the
your
one who
memory
said it.
exhausted as
No,
to
you're
what
the
you
one who
told
said it.
Michael
Jesus.
Proctor?
I'm
No,
exhausted.
not at all.
I love that
So
line.
if your memory's not exhausted, would you agree with me
Nope.
that while you were at 34 Fairview, you told Michael Proctor that you observed a big dark SUV parked to the right of the house?
He's like, I don't know what that
That
means.
could have been the second time I informed him of seeing the SUV.
Who's on first?
Okay.
Poor
If I
Yannetti.
suggested to you that that was the first time, according to what you told Michael Proctor, would you dispute that?
Objection.
Yannetti's like, Jackson, you owe me a fucking drink, a martini, anything for making me do the cross of this Yahoo. You owe me, Jackson.
Love it. No, I mean, you're right. Wow.
He's
Is
going.
your memory exhausted as to whether or not
No.
that was the first or second
like,
time?
no, I'm
according to
not.
what
I
you
don't know what you're
told
talking
Michael
about.
Proctor?
My memory is not exhausted.
Okay, so
The rest of us
if
just
your
are.
memory's not exhausted,
Patience is exhausted.
do you deny?
He is trying to impeach this witness on what he said, and he can't refresh his recollection because he's like, no, I remember it clearly. This is not what I said. The points and times are different. I saw it in front of the house, then I saw it by the thing, then I saw it down the way. That's what he says he saw.
Mhm.
And he's like, that's what I said I saw. So the thing is, you're going to have to impeach him with Proctor. Good luck with that.
Telling Michael Proctor that you observed a big dark SUV parked to the right of the house?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
I don't know if I can answer it. I believe it's the second question.
All
I
right.
told him I saw an SUV and parked in front of the house. Then I saw an SUV move further up the road, which looking out of the house would be to the right of the house. So
And
that
then-
would be when I saw the SUV to the right of the house, would be the second time I saw the SUV.
You saw it to the right of
I've
the house,
always
to the left
stated
of
the
house.
SUV was in front of the
And my thoughts on this after last week and the last 2 weeks listening to Ricky and Ryan and Heather is that when they pulled up behind Karen Reed, because there was no plow there, when they pulled up behind Karen Reed, Karen's in the car. John has already gone into the house. She's fiddling on her phone like she said she was doing. The dome light was on. They all attested to that. When they pulled up, their lights would have been shining right in her face, right in her back, like right in her car, right in her mirror, right? Her rear view mirror. So that would have annoyed anybody. So my guess is that's when she pulled up because she wasn't ready to leave yet for whatever reason. And she didn't like those lights of the big truck because Ricky's truck would have been a little bit higher probably than her SUV shining in her rear view mirror. So that's just my theory. That's my opinion because there's really no other reason why she would have pulled up. And I'm just guessing. So you guys can tell me what you think about that. But Julie, you and I chatted about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
There's
it
no
seems
other
like
reason for her to pull up.
Yeah, it seems too convenient. I mean, again, this is only we haven't fully heard from Karen's side, and I mean, her story keeps changing. So I mean, all the
Right.
stuff of like who moved up, like this seems more convenient for these guys to say, "Yep, she kept moving up for whatever reason," so
Right.
that it's convenient for her to back up the 62 feet
Right.
and it fit their narrative. I
They
think that's all
need
that
her.
this is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they need her
This is
to
fluff.
be.
This is fluff. Yeah.
Right. They need her to be moving up. I just
Yep.
don't, if
Yep.
she did move up at all, that would be my only guess as to why she moved up. But I don't think she moved up twice. I think
No.
they're lying about that.
No. Yeah, I don't think
But
so.
if she moved up once, it would have been because of the kids. And he's not saying a word about, he's peeking out the window and he's seen her moving up. Then why isn't he seeing Ricky and the truck? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get a little bit more of Matt in, and then we're going to listen to you, and then we're going to have to call it a day.
The house if looking out the front door.
And then moved up.
So when you so you deny telling Michael Proctor that when you first saw
No,
the SUV, by the way, sir, is this funny? I'm sorry. you
This
were
is
laughing.
not funny, sir. Not at all. It's been 2 years of misery.
Well,
Okay.
You're smiling now. That's why I asked.
You keep repeating the same question.
Well, I'm trying to get an answer that you won't give me, sir. When you talk to Michael,
I'm trying, that's accurate. I'm trying to get an answer that you won't give me. He's like, right, because I didn't say that. Accurate. Oh gosh. I mean, accurate. Yanetti's getting frustrated because he's like, I said what I said. And Yanetti doesn't want to have to impeach his testimony with Proctor because they're going to, I imagine, flambe Proctor tableside. So he can't use Proctor to show that this guy's testimony is off. So there is a misunderstanding here somewhere in how this all went down, but they are arguing over what first means and who's on it, apparently.
Oh.
SUV.
But it's
okay.
true. I'm trying to get an answer you won't give me.
That
Accurate.
was the first time, according to what you told Michael Proctor, would you dispute that?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is your memory exhausted as to whether or not that was the first or second time, according to what you told Michael Proctor?
My memory is not exhausted.
He's not going to give it
Okay,
up.
so if your memory is not exhausted, do you deny telling Michael Proctor that you observed a big dark SUV parked to the right of the house?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
I don't know if I can answer it. I believe it's the second question.
All
I
right.
told him I saw an SUV and parked in front of the house. Then I saw an SUV move further up the road, which looking out of the house would be to the right of the house. So that would be when I saw the SUV to the right of the house, would be the second time I saw the SUV. I've always stated the SUV was in front of the house if
And
looking
then
out the
moved
front
up.
door.
That's
Okay,
it. That's
so-
the answer.
When you talked,
That's
so
the answer.
you deny telling Michael Proctor
Nope, that's not what he said.
that when you first saw the SUV, by the way, sir, is this funny? I'm sorry. you
This
were
is
laughing.
not funny, sir. Not at all. It's been 2 years of misery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're smiling now. That's why I asked.
You keep repeating the same question.
Well, I'm trying to get an answer that you won't give me, sir. When you talked to Michael Proctor on
like, what the
January
fuck?
29th of 2022, when you first observed the big dark SUV, you said to him it was parked to the right of the house.
Objection.
This is the last time on that question. Is that right?
It's
That
asked
is
and
not
answered.
right. The SUV, the first time
Let's move
was
on,
in
okay?
front of the house, in front of, coming out the front door. The second time was it was to the right of the
That's
house.
asked and answered. You just have to live with the answer.
Okay, all right. So
The judge said move on, Yanetti. And the
you
judge said
did
move
not-
on, Yanetti, because it's asked and answered over and over and over. He's like, I've answered it. I've explained it. If it's wrong, then you need to pull Proctor up and be like, that's not what he told me. Good luck.
say that, but you did say that you were making those observations from the front door, correct?
As I stated yesterday, I recall.
That's a yes or no question.
Per my
I'm
last
sorry.
email.
Objection, Your Honor.
Can you answer it yes or no?
I can't. I said yesterday, it's either I was out, looked out the window and I looked out the front door. I don't remember which order.
Well, you told Michael Proctor that the first time you looked out, it was out the front door, did you not?
I don't recall what I told Michael Proctor on April.
You don't recall. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Page 2 of Proctor's report.
He was waiting for him to say he doesn't recall to show him his statement.
You'd read the first few sentences of that second paragraph.
Second paragraph.
And again, the jury doesn't have a lot of context for why this particular point matters. There's times in a case where you can feel that a particular point matters. And so you're like, this point matters. Nail this witness down on this. what happened. Because we don't have context for this point, people who are annoyed with this defense attorney or annoyed with this line of questioning are going to be like, why are we still here? He said what he said. What else is there? And with an investigation like this, there are so many things that are a problem that it doesn't have context. It just feels overdone, like making much out of nothing. So
I agree with her here. I think I like Yannetti. Obviously, he's talented, but I think he just pushed on that way too hard. And if I was on the jury, I would be lost. Like, what is happening? Why is this such a big deal? Who cares if she moved her car up a little bit or if it's to the right or what? I think that would frustrate a jury, and they might just want to block it out. And like, forget it. I don't care about this guy's testimony that much. He really, I don't know what you guys think. I know a lot of people don't like Matt McCabe, but at times he seemed to be telling the truth. He was definitely evasive a couple times, and we know he lied a couple times for sure. But I think there was sprinkles of truth kind of dashed in and about his testimony so far. I don't know what you guys think, but I do think Yannetti may have pushed on this one just a little too hard. What do you think, Julie?
Yeah, I think that they all kind of told little spatterings of the truth with a whole bunch of lies. I mean, they had their stories, and it had to come through. I mean, I still don't get what David was doing by pushing. I mean, did he tell somebody that he pulled in a different way? And if so, I don't understand the significance of why it would have been pushed as hard as it was. I mean, there's so much other stuff that you can push on. I get that you're trying to, say like, oh, this guy's a liar. He doesn't know what he's doing. But
right. I honestly believe that they should have pushed harder on the fact that the 3 kids who just testified prior to Matt McCabe never saw a white Jeep. That to me would have been more important to push on. Like, are you absolutely positive you saw a white Jeep? Are you aware that so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so just testified before you that there was no white Jeep there? I mean, why not? Maybe he does. I don't remember. We have an hour to go of Matt McCabe. So we're definitely going to have to finish him next week. And then we will start Jen McCabe. So we'll have plenty of time to finish Matt and start Jen McCabe. And who knows what's going to happen then? Like, will the trial start the following? I mean, according to everybody's rumors, the trial's supposed to start Tuesday, which I don't think that's going to happen. Do you guys?
No, that's not going to happen. I don't care what Turtle says. It's not happening Tuesday.
Yeah.
They're still impaneling. They're still impaneling jurors. It seems like there's going to be some issues, like what happened this week. I think it was Tuesday, that there was a juror who took pictures walking into the court and then pictures in the jury room, and so I guess on Wednesday or Thursday they brought that up and disqualified people and made a thing of it. So I mean, but who knows? Turtle's so disinterested in this, and like you hear from them like one thing, and then Turtle goes, no, it's this. I got inside information. It's going to start this day. And then Christina Rex and Sue O'Connell said, no, change of plans. It's going to happen when it happens, because we're still doing jury stuff. So
right.
Yeah, so who knows? And then there's the stuff with the Supreme Court, which what's her face put the kibosh on, so it's going to go through no matter what. And if it gets overturned by the Supreme Court, then so be it. But I mean, as far as we go, it's going to go. The only thing I can think of is that if Bev stops this by saying that because Brennan found so much new information and found, I forget, he found something else, because they said that we have the glass in the nose. Because her new testimony came out saying that there was glass in his nose, that he might talk to his expert and say, now there's glass in his nose. We had a cut, but now there's glass in his nose. We need to reconfigure our, thingamabobs and thingies over here to coordinate something. So let's pause this for 6 months until it gets cold again, and people can have their own nagel blobs and do their own little test and go in their driveways with snow blowers and say, yeah, look, see, we pre-cracked coconuts, and look, see, everything explodes, and yep, exactly what we say happened to John O'Keefe, and Karen did it, lock her up and throw away the key. So who knows what's going to happen?
None of us knows, but if we're right on the verge of it all starting all over again. So it's really going to be something, guys. Yep. Well, let's have Julie show us one of her other experiments. And thank you, everybody, for all your comments tonight and you're going back and forth. Thanks, replay. If you have any comments, please leave them in the replay. And don't forget to subscribe to Social Change Warriors and help us with our algorithm so we can keep advocating for all of our 13 human lives right now that we are advocating for. So let me add you to the stage here.
Yep, there we are.
you
Okay,
are.
that's good.
The
That's good.
stage
You can
is
see.
yours, ma'am.
Yep. Alrighty, here we go. All right, so let's have some fun. And when I say fun, I mean let's take a look at what Canton's Finest and the audit and the select board said was innovative and wonderful and should be the standard operating procedure for all police. So, which is a thing that actually was said. So okay, all right, so you can see, and that moves around. Okay, good. All right, so I have this on fast. All right, so just to recap, yesterday I showed you guys that I took pieces of taillight, which I have right here in my red Solo cup that says very professional on it because I couldn't get very professional on it, but I have my Stop and Shop bag that has very professional evidence collection on it because that's what we're doing here, very professional, along with the pieces of taillight that I found. So I had 14 pieces from 2 crime scenes. I did find all 14. I'm not going to tell you how I found them, but I recovered them. We're going to find out if I recovered them from this crime scene over yonder or if I just waited for the snow to melt and found them that way, because just like, I guess, what the state police did in Canton, who knows. But okay, so just to recap. So here we have crime scene. This was untouched, went out, protected it. Got 7.5 inches of snow. And this is the next day. So I am in my garage with my computer. It is, I think it's about 34 degrees. I ran my computer and my cell phone. My computer I ran for 45 minutes and my cell phone I ran for, I think, 20 minutes. And they stayed active. Now I did some other tests and we'll talk about what happened to the cell phone there, which is interesting and kind of relevant, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So here we have what it looks like to, I guess, solve, diagnose, rip apart a crime scene, investigate a crime scene, I guess you call it, with a leaf blower. And I have this on fast, but you can understand what I'm saying. So good. Okay. All right. It is February. So this is my Sally port. Just in case. I'm right here. February 9th, 2025, 4:05 p.m. 16. 500 hours. It snowed 7 inches. Here's an egg blob. Over here. No, 7 inches. And we're going to try to recreate or use the guidelines. I haven't exactly figured out. We're going to use, I guess, the uncovering techniques that were used January 29, 2022 in Canton. So there's my sidekick. I showed you my setup perimeter, so at least we know the approximate area. Again, it wasn't to block off my whole entire area because I need to use it. And I finished shoveling and snow blowing. And so now we're going to deal with this. It's untouched. Yep, there's Chloe. Hi, Chloe. Untouched. And again, I have cameras. I don't know why you can't see. I have cameras up yonder. So what we're going to do here. There she is. Like I said, we're going to recreate. So right off the bat, we're starting. We're not doing exactly what happened because you can see there's crime scene. And the area is marked off. So right off the bat, where, nay. I also marked here, 10 feet here, 10 feet from there to there. Now, I know this because there's the experiment that we're doing. There are 2 spots where I dropped quote-unquote taillight pieces. One over here, one over there. Now I know that just because, again, this is a controlled experiment. You can't exactly, Cat. We're going to do this like Mythbusters would, but it's close enough. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from location. We're going to see this feasible. Now I just snowblowed and shoveled all this. It's warmer today. It's about 35 degrees, 36 degrees. All this melted. It's very compact. It started off very fluffy. It started off compact. Now what we have for tools to uncover crime scene is leaf blower. Let's just see. 2 settings. And of course, it couldn't go anywhere without my Stop and Shop collection bag. That's very professional evidence collection. And my red Solo cup. That's very professional. Because we are very professional. Some of these have evidence collection. Now, from what I remember about testimony, they grabbed the Stop and Shop bag and the red Solo cups because they had just discovered a body and were collecting evidence, which is why they used this. It was while they were actively, it was actively snowing. Now, in the videos, there was a little bit of snow on the ground, about 4 inches. This is 7, and it's also settled, so it's not exactly fresh. But later at 5:30 at night, they started searching the area. I guess they sifted. I don't know if they still use the leaf blower, but you know what? Just for funsies, we're going to try to do this with the leaf blower because I tested it over here, and I thought this was going to be way too compact. I turns out if you get it close enough, it does move it. So I'm just trying to do it. I have this angle so that you can see me. You might not be able to hear me. Might not even be able to hear me now. Who knows? I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to try to break it down, or try to break down to clearing. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, which is by blowing the snow, making a, I guess, give it, and I guess sift it at the same time, and then shovel it. As far as I can tell, this is going to make a big fucking mess, so I'm going to try to do it. I'm sore. I'm going to give this 2 hours. Now, again, when they did it, the 29th of 2022, they had, I believe, 6 members of Mass State Police and 2 additional members, 8 people. So 8 people versus 8 people who got 3 pieces of taillight versus cripple me. 2 hours, we're going to see what I get. Cox Spano that's going to go inside because he's going to get scared. Where's your the top one? You said he's okay? Give me tootsies. Can I have tootsies? Now, if I find something, with this sensation spot. If I find something, maybe my assistant, Nick Blob over there, which I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see a little bit over. There. It's at the far end. My card is there, and I cover my plate. But that's okay. If I can cover something, we're going to cover it. I don't know. We're going to see how this goes. I'm trying not to electrocute myself either. I know there's recordless, but I feel all right. Again, just disclaimer: don't do this, please. I mean, I didn't want to spend the money and destroy a cordless thing that was going to be $200 with a battery. But don't do this. I mean, like I was telling Kat yesterday, I plugged it into a plug that's right next door to circuit breaker. So if I got zapped, it wouldn't have been close. But that's no excuse. Just don't do this. This is ridiculous. I don't care what the audit says or anybody. Just don't do it. $100+ for something I'm never going to use. Okay, I also started at about 14 feet, so it's about halfway through. So it's about 4 feet away from where we had our little crash crime scene. So here we go. Look at how innovative. Oh my goodness. So innovative. Look at it blow. Evidence collection. I'm going to speed this up. There we go. Double time, Julie. So I tell you what I was thinking while I was doing this. The first maybe half an inch kind of came off and said, oh, look, I guess it does go layer by layer. And then I got hit in the face with a whole bunch of snow and said, nope, not a good idea, I don't think. It's magic crime scene tape. It stays up during snow. Yep, there we go. Oh boy, making a mess, making a mess. That's what I'm doing, just making a mess. It was doing something. It's harder to see. You'll see. We'll show this for a little bit. Just take a look. Like if there were blood droplets, where would it go? It would be launched about 12 feet this way. Oh, you'll see. You'll see, Cap. Yep, so there I go. Fun, fun, fun. Blowing crime scene off of me because I got covered with crime scene. Yes. Yes, they do. But that's not uncommon. Oh, we'll see. Oh, there we go. I got a face full of crime scene. Now just making a mess. Making a mess. We're gonna make a ridiculous mess. Oh, more crime scene. I don't know about that, Cat. They think I'm something. All of the crime scene. Oh boy, look at me. I don't know what everybody's laughing about. Can't you see how innovative this is? This is so innovative. Look at all the crime scene just tear ass into the other yard. See, even the doggy agrees. Exactly. Genius. Yep. Face full of crime scene. Who knows if there's pathogens or glass, some other undesirables. Who knows? Innovative, right? Select board Bob member says 3-2, innovative. I know, right? It's not inverted. Making a mess, making a mess. That's all we're doing. We're just making a mess. And the Nagel Blob is watching, judging. Nagel Blob's just going to sit there and judge. Now reconsidering my life choices. Yeah, Chloe loves it. She was having a great time. She helped. Chloe helped the crime scene. Oh, this is when it gets good. Oh, is this when I get close? Yeah, this is when I get close. No, now I look and I go, oh my God, what do I do with this crime scene? Yep. And then there's a whole bunch of ass. Ass. Oh, that's right. Chloe's in it. That's right. I forgot. Chloe's in it. Look at all the crime scene on me. Yep. I'm the crime scene. My boots are the crime scene. Puppy's the crime scene. Nagel Blob's eating popcorn, laughing. See, look at, he's helping. He's like, I want a crime scene on me too. Yep, and I go, oh, look, electricity. I forgot that was there. Now it's covered in crime scene. Yep, here we go. Oh boy. No. It's a snow leaf blower or leaf snow blower. I don't know. Yep. Just heavily side like Bev. Yep. Look at. It's such a wonderful idea. Yep. Yep. Here we go. Just checking to make sure that the thing didn't shit the bed on me. Oh, there's more ass. It's a great shot. Yeah, he stepped by. He stopped by 5 weeks later and found a big, huge piece. This one. Crime scene all around. Innovative. Oh my God, no one can come for this. This is innovation as we speak. See, Doggy says, "Wow, I agree. So innovative." It's so ridiculous. You can't help but laugh and make jokes because it's ridiculous. That's right. Yep. Yes, it is. Yep. That's why I keep stopping. Look at. We're still going. Whoop. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, that's good. Yep. Now all of me's covered with crime scene. Yep. Every single patrol car in the United States should have one of these in their evidence collection. And they should do exactly this, what I'm doing right here. Exactly this. No derivation. Exactly this. Yep, just ass. Ass and crime scene. Oh. So officially, statistical programmer, database person, but I have degrees in math and science. I'm just very curious. Oh, wait a second, hang on, we gotta hear this. Okay, so I said, you know what? I don't feel like getting electrocuted. So we're gonna stop this. And I don't want him to get electrocuted. Look at me. Look at. Look at all that snow. That's crime scene here, crime scene here, crime scene in the boots, outside the boots, on my hand, on my face, all over here. Just one big mess. Like if there was sensitive, like, oh look, this is gonna be the linchpin, this little piece of this little droplet of something, it would have been in Salem. Whoever the fuck said that this was a good idea, I don't go back to fucking police school. Yep. True words have been spoken. See if they're holy shit. Yep. I'm tickled pink doing this too. Can't you tell? Let's see. All right. So I'm gonna leave that over there. We're recording this is my fault. Yeah. All right. So unlike the actual police, when I found something, I took my cell phone and took footage. So I left the computer on. So this stays on. And then I took my phone. So I'm about what, 4 or 5 feet in? With the boat? Yeah, so I got a hit. Also I didn't want to get electrocuted. Yeah, that's 4 or 5 feet in. And all I'm doing is making a fucking mess. But I see red. I see two red things. Yeah, so we're gonna show that in 1 second. Probably unplug that because, you know, I do that. I mean, case in point, I got leaf blower, mulcher, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's probably going to be dead after this. Yep. And Harbor Freight, China Freight as I kept calling it. I got pieces of acrylic red from Harbor Freight. And while I was there, they had heaters. I looked and I said, oh, that'd be nice for the garage. Because I figured that this thing was going to shoot fast, but then it was warm. I said, okay, I don't need a heater for this recording. However, if you're at a fucking crime scene and somebody died, and you have all this area marked off, and you're doing this big fucking bullshit, what the fuck? Go to Harbor Freight, go grab heaters and tents. What did it take, 20 minutes? Take a fucking guy in the car with Dunkin' Donuts and say, I'll be right back. Then bring them with tents. Go to Home Depot for those. I know there's one not too far away from Canton. I know what I think. Harbor Freight's not too far away either. Go grab them and do this. Don't do this fucking Mickey Mouse bullshit, whatever the fuck it is that they thought they were doing. I'm very bothered, very upset. I'm gonna grab one of my solo cups, which now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was for blood that they got those, that they saw drops of blood. But that doesn't make any sense because supposedly when this happened, there was what, 2 inches, like what, an inch or 2 of snow on the ground, and then that morning there was more. I mean, an hour after I dropped these, they disappeared. There was Harbor Freight. Inch and a half on top of them. You couldn't see shit. So I don't know what the fuck they said. They saw blood. I mean, it's supposed to snow again. Maybe we'll do some drop contaminant. I'll try to see if I can find drops of blood. But if you're doing it this way, trying to find blood, good fucking luck. All right, let's see. All right, here I am doing this nonsense. Recording it here. See? Okay, so this is hit number 1. Okay, all right. We're gonna do close up now. All right, let's see close up. Did I close that one? Yep. Okay. Where is the other one? Let me grab the other one so we can see what it actually looks like to do this nonsense. And where? Hang on. Let's see. Boo, boo, boo. Right here. Okay. All right, here I am doing this nonsense, recording it here. See? Okay. Hang on 1 second. Okay. Share. Okay, Kat, can you bring that up? So what does everybody think so far? Perfect, right? Like, Like they should show this video of me just doing that to every
Oh,
single
we have.
police
I
force.
have to get this video to Jackson and Nettie somehow. I'm gonna reach. I'm reaching out to Agent Sean and see if he can get this video to either Bettero or Yannetti, because this has to be seen by the but I want it to be seen by people that we know will appreciate what you've done.
Mm,
Um, because I know there may be content creators who I won't name that won't necessarily like it, right? And could be harsh, and so we're not sending it to them. We need to send it to people that would appreciate the time that you put into this, and that you're actually showing us how effed up this crap that they expect us to buy is.
yep.
And I think what's so egregious, especially Julie and everybody in our chat tonight, Kathy and MCAT and everybody that was here with us earlier too, is that the Canton Police Department was a stone's throw away from where this was happening. All they would have had to have done is had somebody come over and bring them any tools they would have thought necessary.
5 minutes.
Or they could have called into another agency to break their Stoughton PD. Not that we want to count on those yahoos for anything, but they're not that far away. There's other municipalities not that far away. Agencies call for reciprocal help all the time. It
How about
happens
Boston?
all the time. What?
Boston's 15 miles away.
Even
Get that.
Boston, exactly. Giant,
Boston.
huge. He was a
Call
Boston police
Boston. Yep.
officer. Why
5
didn't
minutes.
you call, hey, we've never done a crime scene in the dark at night in the snow. Why, maybe we better get a bigger city in on this. I mean, it's like they expect us to believe that none of that ever dawned on them. Because if you're not trying to F up a crime scene, right? If you're literally trying to keep the integrity of a crime scene and you can't do it on your own because you admit that you don't have the proper training, even though every police officer goes through what's exactly, protocol, police academy training, and the in-services are also protocol. So every cop is trained on crime scene. Now, granted, a lot of the big cities have detective bureaus, so the actual street cops don't need as much training on crime scene because the detectives are called in on homicides or on death investigations. But in a small town, they wear a lot of hats. So then they have to be trained to a certain degree until the agency that's going to handle a death investigation gets there.
Yep.
So it's all a bunch of nonsense. They expect us to believe that what they did was the most they could have done or was the best they could have gotten, because that's not true.
They were the most smartest.
Yeah, and MCAT, mutual aid. Yeah, that's another thing you can call it. Mutual aid is very accessible, and departments use it all the time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But all right, so let's see what red plastic looks like in the snow while it's being uncovered. So this is hit number 1, and I think we're just only going to get hit number 1 because I think that blower just shit the bed. So here we are. This is about what I did. Okay, so I managed to get in this far. We're about 5 feet in. Okay. Okay, so I started over here. Wait a second. So I don't know if it's here, but this is actually at the bottom. Now there was a little bit of ice underneath that I did the nagel blob on, that I left before the nagel blob that was there. So this actually did get through all 7 inches of snow. But it does look like it didn't hit the bottom. This actually did hit the bottom, unlike the actual search where it looked like they didn't hit the bottom at all in the pictures that I saw. So I don't know. We'll see. 6 feet, about 5 feet in. I'm going to measure them. Okay, let me go grab my very fucking professional. Also, like I said, I'm very upset because I'm sore. It's frustrating and it's just bothersome. So I apologize for all the gratuitous cursing, but I mean, come on, look at what we're dealing with. Right, cutie cutes. I know you helping. We gotta put it on our evidence bag too. Watch out, honey. Watch out. No, they're very sterile. What are you doing? They're very sterile. They're very professional and very sterile. Yeah, they're very professional. What are you doing? You're making them less professional. Maybe you're making them more professional. Who knows? Here we go. He's helping. Here we go. Thing that didn't exist. All right. Here's what I found. Okay. Can everybody see? 2 pieces. Now this is what this uncovered. Now I didn't touch any of this with my person or hand or anything. It's just air from the leaf blower that made that divot. That's what it looks like. It just uncovered that. On this right here. So we are going to, I don't even know what the fucking proper technique is supposed to be. I'm gonna move this out of the way a little proper bit. Technique. That's a good one, Julie. Okay. No, you're contaminating the crime scene, honey. You're contaminating the crime scene. Yeah, back up. We gotta do it professional. Okay? Gotta do professional, very professional. All right, I don't want you to hurt yourself. Go sit. No, not there. He likes to help. Do this. Look at his face. You know what? Okay, can you not sit in the snow? You know what? Can you not sit in the snow? Is it birdie? Go see. All right, get puppy break. My little snow bunnies. Take a little break. My little snow bunnies. This is what he does to me all the time. You're so fucking cute. Yeah. You're so cute. Stop woofing. All right, back to this, okay? We have one right here where, I don't know, we need to excavate more. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so there's one here. Okay, so let's just take some of this. Okay, I'm trying to move the camera. Okay, so we're going to take this. I'm going to put that right there, and because I want to go get another one. We're just going to pretend that I got another very professional rental, okay? Okay, so we got a hit right here. No, back up, honey, back up. No, we got back up. We got to do professional. We're very professional, okay? Very innovative, very professional. Right there. See? Look at. Okay. Can you guys see? Now, if I were a professional, what I would have done is I would have taken all the snow that I just moved over here, didn't move it all the way like that, but I would scoop it, put it in a bucket or a pile, or just put it in a bucket and leave that as collected. But that's me. Okay. Yeah, who am I? Okay. 2 pieces right there. Okay. All right. That's right there. Let's see if we can get some more. Oh, it's a little fragment. Now again, I don't know why I took my gloves off to do this. Again, I'm trying to. I must have blown my sense away. If we need any more, should put my gloves on. See? All right. Okay. I don't see anything. Oh. See? I got one right here. I know, sweetheart. I know. We're almost done. Okay. Got one right there. One right there. Okay. Just pretend that I. Okay. Look at. Got small. See, small pieces. Okay. Now this would be okay. Now where the marking is there anything else? I think nope. This. I think one more. Okay. Now again, I know that. I mean, again, if I had a team, again, I wouldn't step on this. Try to mark it off as much as possible, scoop it all up. But we're trying to play. Okay. You know, see, book smart, common sense smart, not so much. No. Come on, back up. Shit. Very professional. Gotta do very professional. Okay. Come here, honey. Okay. That's my very professional. Oh shit. Okay. Hands are falling down. Everything's falling down. Hang on a minute. I don't need to do that in front of the camera. I don't need to do that in front of the camera. Now, see, how is that not different than the Sally Port? Sally Port had Stop and Shop with solo cups. Take, like, right there. Same thing.
Yep, exactly. Just sitting there right in the garage in a bag. No crime scene tape on it, no markings, no chain of command.
See?
No evidence chain, nothing.
Glove dummy. what's in there. At least I can see it's nice and bright. Stick him inside. Let's go inside. Can't show you. See, Nagelblob approves. Like that. That's my assistant. And that's also my assistant. Come on. Come on, little snowman. He has snowballs on him. There you go. Also, I have my obligatory Dunkin' Donuts. Which one was certainly not enough. And of course it's not. MCAT, they're mostly empty. But thank you. Oh, that's where my gloves went. You know what? Let's use these because these are already wet. Bacon. He's over here, so don't forget. All right, let's see. There we go. Yeah. All right, and it goes back to Francine. Okay, so I mean, again, just if you needed to get down to what I mean, this is asphalt. There was about half an inch of melted snow ice, which is right here. That's basically our surface. But again, if we didn't know, we'd go further. Okay. Again, we'd be very professional. I'd scoop all of this to buckets because we found a hit. Again, I'm gonna have to go back and look and see exactly what. We got another hit. Yeah, we got another hit. See, right there. Okay, yep. And this is the big one. Okay, the big one. Okay, so as you can see, I mean, again, it's like this. With just a little bit of snow on it, it obscures it. But with a little bit of snow off, you can see that there's something there. Okay. Now let's go count. There should be 7 pieces total in this section. Now again, it's just me. I managed to clean that amount. We got 4 more of me. You clear the whole entire section. It was over 60 square feet that I cleared just in that little. To explain what we did. 35 minutes. Okay. Now let's just make sure. Now let's count. See what we have. Everybody's gonna start coming by now because I want to see what the crazy person's doing. Not gonna work so. And leaf blowing in the middle of the winter. But when the police do it, it's fine. It's very smart. Oh, also, I'm gonna put these in after I count to make sure that, I mean, this isn't part of the very professional police investigation. This is part of to make sure that I got all the pieces so that we can pretend. Okay, I'm gonna put them in the very professional Stop and Shop bag that I made sure to get. I got a plate of boar's head charcutes that came with Coca-Cola, salami, and oh my god, what the fuck's the other one? My grandma used to get all the time. Focus on. And because it didn't come with it, I got bologna. So we're gonna have a nice charcut with bologna. Gobble. So okay, that is no. We'll just put that in there just in case. And just for a reference, at an actual Canton audit select meeting, the head of the select board audit committee, Bob 32, when questioned about, oh, how professional are our police? They needed an audit because they took Stop and Shop bags that were unsterile and Solo cups that were unsterile. How do you know that there wasn't roast beef or something that dripped on it? And Bob said, that's ingenious. DNA testing would figure out that you had roast beef in there and it would take out, and you could totally use a Stop and Shop bag that was used to collect evidence in a murder investigation of a police officer. So just to make sure that I covered all my bases, I got bologna and I squeezed bologna juice in the Stop and Shop bag. So all of our bases are covered, very professional. Yeah, like they cracked further overnight. Okay, we have a little piece here. I know. This one right here. This is real life. No, put them in there. It's gonna go in stuff, right? Let's say it's gonna go in with charcut DNA all over it because the select board said, "Oh, what if it had roast beef DNA all over it?" Well, it's fine. They could DNA test for it. Oh, okay, makes it very professional. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one I cut. 6 and 7. All right. So in 35 minutes to explain, going from where the body was found, actually it was even further. It was wait a second. It is 27 feet. So 26, 13, so 13 and a half. So 3 and a half. So 4 feet because I did half. So I did what? 12 feet approximately. No. Oh my god. Oh, I gotta do this. Okay, I didn't start at 10 feet. I started at 14 feet. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, 30 next to 3.5, 4 feet approximately.
Very professional. This isn't professional math, by the way. I think I had a brain fart midway.
I managed to find, because again, the way that I put them there was, let's pretend that it was an accident right here. It scatters. And it's approximately where the body is found. That's what contact is made. If you want to find where contact is made, you go and look at the bulk of the evidence. Okay, so that's what we have. That with the snow, that will keep moving. Not bad. You were very professional. But we found all the pieces for that one location. Okay, now if we didn't find anything, we would still be blowing in again. If there were 4 others, we'd be done with the whole entire area. And away we go. So again, we sifted. So what do we do? We found this. Oh, it's going out very professional. Very professional evidence. Okay, it goes in there like that. Okay. And again, if this is where the street is, come over here. This is 10 feet. So I gave it a little bit extra more because it says you were found 8 to 10 feet off the road. I said, oh shit, this thing, I gotta measure. Yeah, see, because I guess they started more. Started over here. It started about 16 feet. And I went this way because it wasn't working. Like a half an inch to the top wasn't working. And we're gonna do measurements, how much that is. About 7 feet in. Yeah, because it's about half, because from here to the fence is 15. That's about 7 feet in. 7.5, 8 feet, 7, 8 feet. Okay, approximately. Alrighty. So that's that. Alright, and then I just made a fuss mess here, and because it's gonna get cold, I'm gonna have to clean this up. And then there's the other one over here, which I'll be careful.
Yeah. So that was crime scene number 1. Now we have crime scene number 2.
It's 10 feet from the fence. And it's somewhere around here. Okay, so there's my assistant. My assistant lays down and you outline, mark, and say, oh, this is where the body was. You're gonna find contact. Now, according to whatever the fuck it was that they said.
Night, MCAT.
And they said that they found big pieces and little pieces and whatever the fuck pieces.
I hope you have a very professional night.
Now, one thing that I thought of today was this. Now, I saw the plow working last night. We got 7 inches of snow, a little compressed. We might have got a little more. But I saw the plow working, and this happens every single time it snows. Let me move on. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's most
Thanks, MCAT. Thanks for joining us. We're almost done. We went overtime. We always tend to do this, but thank you, sweetie. And my puppy's ready to call it as well. So we'll see you next Friday Night Lives, MCAT, or sooner if I decide to go on another special night. Take care of yourself.
Did anybody, state police or Canton or anybody say, hey, let's check the drain? Because that's basically where all this crap would go. Also, if this was just willy-nilly in the middle of the street, and then it got pushed along, and then the snow melted, and pieces were just miraculously there, I find it very not feasible that a car didn't get a piece of the acrylic wet in there, or didn't crush it, or somebody walking didn't get stuck in their shoe or boot, or an animal that didn't pick it up, get trapped in their fur. It's very unfeasible. It's very not feasible. Very impractical. Very impractical that all that happens. That they were able to find every single piece intact without being scraped by the asphalt. I mean, I fell last night. I said I could just slam myself in slow motion, which hurt. I don't know if you could see. And scraped my hand a little bit. I mean, it's nothing, but I mean, it's enough to see. It's enough to leave a mark. This plastic has no marks.
For sure, Kathy. Absolutely. When you see it laid out like this, it really puts it in perspective.
Then brought it here, threw it on a coating of snow, and now they're in a very professional bag. So, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, okay. I gotta clean up this mess. I still like to keep myself. And, yeah. Then I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do with the other one. Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll do it incrementally, trying to sift. See what that produces. And see if I can find 7 doing that. Maybe I'll just clear the whole area. I mean, again, this was harder to do because I was snow blowing before. I don't know. We'll see. I gotta take a look at what they did. But I mean, anyone who thinks this is a good idea needs to get retrained. Yikes! But alrighty.
Yep. Yikes is correct.
All right, here I am.
So no, we already did this one. Okay, so that's that. That's crime scene number 1. What does everybody think of it? Very professional, right? Very ingenious, very innovative. Oh no, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
We love you, Julie. You are our crime scene queen forever. Honestly, I can't wait to see what they throw against the wall and make it stick in trial 2. If we get to trial 2, that you will be able to do a crime scene reconstruction of.
Well, so I have video of the second one that I did, and it's very interesting that the select board or the audit came out and in defense by them saying that the leaf blower, not it's a snow blower in the sense that it throws everything willy nilly every which
Right.
way. You can't really aim it, but that not only was that ingenious, they also said that had they not done that, they wouldn't have been so delicate with it. And they said that
Right.
when you use something like a shovel, how vulgar to use a shovel where you're hacking at it and you disturb the crime scene. But if you do it with a leaf blower, it's gentle, nice. It just uncovers it, just beautiful, layer by layer, just boop boop, little. Did we see any of that? No. Also, so the second one that I did, I thought about it and said, how could I do this by not disturbing? Like, let's say, like, again, I don't have any police training. I'm from science, math background. I said, how could I, do this in the best preservation possible?
Right.
So I thought of like an excavation, around like, like the ancient ruins of Egypt or something. And what I came up with is, taking a 5-gallon bucket and dragging it along the bottom of the snow, and just basically just delicately scooping underneath and placing it in the bucket and then sifting through it that way. So the next one that I did that, and that took 3 hours, and that put me on my ass for some time.
Oh my
And
God.
that was very interesting. So that one wasn't as exciting because it takes more time. But
he's trying to steal my hat.
that goes, oh, look at him.
He's trying to get up over my shoulder.
Does he want to play in a crime scene too?
Yes, he wants to come and visit Auntie Julie. Oh, he's stuck on my glasses now. He wanted my hat. He always tries to steal my hats. Julie, you deserve a standing ovation. I love all your we're gonna clap for Julie. Yay, Julie.
Yay,
hey, thanks everybody.
Thanks, nonsense.
Thanks to Julie. This is outstanding. I love your passion. I love the time you put into this. Thanks for sharing it with us. Thanks for being our co-host on Friday Night Lives. We absolutely love having you. And I will look forward to it. I'll let you all know if Julie and I decide to live an extra night next week so we can get through Matt and Jen, or if we're just going with Friday night next week. It'll depend on how my week goes, but I'll keep you all posted. But we'll for sure see you on Friday Night Lives next week. And if we do an extra session, we'll let you know in advance. Thanks for joining us tonight. Kathy, good night. Good night. MCAT, thanks so much. Thanks to everyone else who popped in and out of the chat live. I think I mentioned you all earlier that have been in and out of here tonight. And thanks to Replay. You guys are great. I wish I could interact with you more, but I know lives are busy and Friday nights can be busy, but I appreciate all of you on the replay. And don't forget to subscribe to us. I know it takes a little extra step. You have to actually sign into YouTube, but it really means a lot to me if you would subscribe, because that will help our algorithm. If we can get up over 1,000, that's going to really push out the 13 human lives that have been lost. 12 technically, because Sarah Ebersol is considered missing and endangered. But I do believe, unfortunately, that she was unalive 2 years ago and 1 month. So we are standing for 13 souls that are no longer with us, advocating for them on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then, of course, Karen and John on Fridays. So please subscribe, send it out to your friends, spread us around. The more subscribers, the better for our advocacy. And I thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. Thank you, Julie. I'll see you soon in our personal chats. And I'll play us out with our theme music. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Calling out corruption. My life mattered, just us.
Night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Thank you all. We appreciate you so much.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. just us. We're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. For every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing. For the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all.